chat. Anyway, let's quickly get up into this Trap Lord Ross video. Apparently, Trap Lord Ross dropped a 3-hour video. Bro, you know what the craziest part of this whole video is?
Warning, this...
Hold on. The craziest part of the video is, look at the description, bro. He says, watch the uncut version of this on Patreon. I'm like, dog, this ain't the full video? It's 3 hours. Nah, this video is dumb long. Okay, anyway, we're not going to be watching all 3 hours of this. You guys could definitely go watch it. Salute to Trap Lord Ross, I rock with him. But apparently, he's did this video, and it's called King Von Raps for a Serial Killer. Why is King Von being accused of or being seen as a serial killer? Because it has now come to pass that essentially King Von's name has been tied to several murders. More than 5, some people believe more than 10, okay? Now, we should probably, before we even get into this, let's Google serial killer, right? Like, not serial killers. Let me see. Definition of a serial killer. Now, it says, and this is from the Oxford Dictionary, I'm guessing, a person who commits a series of murders, often with no apparent motive, and typically following a characteristic predictable behavior pattern. Let's go to this one. What classifies someone as a serial killer? The term serial killings means a series of 3 or more killings, not less than one of which was committed within the United States, having common characteristics such to suggest the reasonable possibility that the crimes were committed by the same actors. Now, let's go to FBI, right? Oh, this is the FBI source right here. Oh, wow. The terms, by the way, this is the FBI website. I got to go all the way up there. I can see it. This is on FBI.gov, right? So let's go to the part that we were trying to get back to. My bad. Wait, hold on. So the term serial killer. Yeah, okay, so I just read that. All right. So if somebody kills over 3 people, and I'm guessing it would probably have to be 3 instances of murder. So for y'all thinking, like, if somebody does a mass murder where they kill multiple people at the same time, that person isn't a serial killer, right? They're a mass murderer, but they're not a serial killer. A serial killer means that they're doing multiple events of committing the act of murder, right? Okay, with that being said, and I think we kind of have you guys know what a serial killer is, kind of, right? Let's kind of watch this thing and see, like, if King Von fits any of these criterias. Here we go. We're gonna get past the intro. Let's see what the fuck. Here we go. Oh, he defines it too. Here we go.
That isn't embellished or fabricated. But when it comes to rappers who truly keep it real, the Chicago drill scene has dominated for the last decade. First popularized by Chief Keef, the Chicago drill wave was characterized by rappers that grew up in the most dangerous blocks in America, with these up-and-coming artists rapping plainly and honestly about what they experienced growing up. Shootings on the block, disrespecting dead enemies, and constantly being chased by the police. Chicago drill rappers took gangster rap to raw new heights, where the stories behind the music could be matched up with the local news reports on the latest homicides. However, what happens when the people doing the killing start making the music too? Because in the years after Chief Keef popularized the violent stories of Chicago gang life, one of those gangsters killing people in the streets picked up a microphone too, and started rapping in the first person from the perspective the actual killer. King Von had a reputation in Chicago as a fearless killer before he'd even started rapping, and it's widely believed, based on the statements he made in his own songs, that Von himself could have killed as many as 7 people in his career as a gangbanger, with more murders even taking place after he got rich and famous, with it being rumoured that Von used his money and influence from the rap game to have old enemies in Chicago killed, and going on a journey which, in my opinion, takes him far beyond a street player who had to kill to survive in the mean streets of Chicago, because if King Von's tweets are anything to go by, he simply loved killing people. And the sheer amount of people that King Von allegedly played a role in killing has led to intense speculation as to whether he was a full-blown serial killer. A title which King Von's enemies even said that him and his friends took personal pride in. Now, the FBI defines a serial killer as a person who kills over 3 people with time spans in between them of more than a month. Furthermore, serial killers tend to have an element of psychological gratification which plays a role in the motive for their murders. The FBI also state that a serial killer might seek various kinds of gratification through their killings, such as anger, thrill-seeking, financial gain, or simply for attention. I personally believe that over the course of his career, King Von demonstrated all of these characteristics and can indeed be classified as a serial killer. King Von frequently exhibited behaviour in public that conformed with these rules, tweeting regularly about his desire to kill, bragging about having committed specific murders in his music, which attracted him international attention and Billboard charting songs, with his drill anthems about murdering rivals making him a rich man with millions in his bank account. The FBI also point out another characteristic of serial killers, specifically that their victims may all have something in common. For example, a demographic.
Yeah, his victim had in common that he hated them motherfuckers. Jesus. Or his victim, you know what all his victims had in common? Them niggas was GDs. That's it.
Profile, appearance, gender, or race. And it would appear that King Von only killed young black men and women from the community he lived in. These were all people just like him.
I don't think that's a mode of having a similar, like, it's like dating people that live in a community you live in, right? You're probably gonna date people who either look like you or who are in the same financial position. But I get the parallel he's making.
Being born into a rundown part of Chicago and growing up with a lot of disadvantages. All that really separated Von from his victims were the fact that they were from a rival territory and he believed that nobody would miss them. King Von has officially been implicated in 4 murders, 2 where he was suspected of being involved, but the police didn't have enough evidence to charge, and 1 case where he narrowly received a not guilty verdict after a key witness disappeared and a co-defendant implicated himself. Another that he's accused of organising with 5 of his closest childhood friends, the shooting of rival rapper FBG Duck in broad daylight at a busy shopping district. Von will never face justice for due to him losing his life only months before the feds would swoop in and arrest all 5 of his close friends. This particular murder would go down as one of the most brazen assassinations carried out in Chicago since the days of Al Capone. But in total, there's over 10 murders of which King Von has been connected to over the years, and nobody has looked into all of them in great detail until now. So today, we're going to take a closer look at the man, his past, and his career to find out once and for all if King Von really was the first serial killer in hip-hop history.
He was in jail for 2 murders?
Yeah, 1 murder and 2 attempts.
4 shooters and a hail of bullets.
All of them was scatter bomb. All of them was scatter bomb.
Police found several shell casings in this parking lot.
King Von was bloodthirsty. He loved death. He loved killing.
I got a lot of fights. Just free. How many I think?
King Von had a insatiable obsession with murder and violence.
The shooting leaves 1 person dead, 4 others injured.
Me? Hey, I know you. You ain't know me. Are you?
King Von probably would have been considered like a serial killer.
They labeled the man a serial killer. Them.
King Von, real name Davon Bennett, was born on August 9, 1994 in Chicago, Illinois, growing up on West 78th and South Hermitage in an area known as Killer Ward, an area mainly affiliated with the Chicago gangs, the Gangster Disciples, and the Black Pea Stones. Von would attend Barton Elementary School in the area, but despite starting life as a fairly normal kid in Chicago, he would be subjected to the influence of gangbanging in his family home from a young age. His father was Walter E. Bennett, aka Silk, a well-known street dude from nearby Ada Park. Von was mainly raised by his mother, as his father was in and out of jail throughout his childhood. But Von's father was apparently a legend in the streets, with ties to the street gang, the Black Disciples. However, much like Von, despite the fearsome reputation he'd earned in the streets, it would ultimately be this proximity to gang life that would lead to his father's demise, as King Von's dad Silk was shot dead when Von was only 11 years old, apparently being targeted by a sniper outside of a skating rink, according to an interview with King Von's uncle.
Rest in peace, King Von. Rest in peace, Silk. That's crazy. Like, I'm with Big Bro every day. My kill his daddy with a sniper rifle. This get deep, though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sniper. I hit him with a sniper rifle. They at the skate rink, but you know, that's another story.
It seems.
Nigga, what? Nigga, what type of beef you gotta have to basically get a sniper rifle out? Matter of fact, I ain't gonna lie, that might be a very effective tool. If you are if you in O Block and you beefing with 63rd, if you go on top of one of them tall ass buildings and you just get a sniper rifle and aim it at your ops house, is only a block away. That might be a cheat code. But I've never heard somebody in the hood getting killed from a sniper rifle. This sounds extreme.
It's clear that King Von's father Silk was remembered as a legend of the block. However, coping with the loss of his father at such a young age clearly had a negative effect on the mindset of a young King Von. He would tweet and rap in freestyles years later that he simply couldn't sleep after his father's death.
Taking my daddy, I couldn't even go to sleep.
And throughout his teenage years, he would post RIP tributes to his father on Twitter to commemorate his birthdays. Naturally, Von would follow in his father's footsteps, getting involved in local gang politics at a young age, with Von actually telling 16-shot and visuals in his very first interview that he got involved in the streets in 4th
Yo, niggas said they killed King Von's pops like it was JFK. Nah, bro, y'all niggas is tweaking.
grade, eventually getting his hands on guns by the time he got to high school.
You was out here toting pipes in 4th grade, like when you started?
I probably had a BB gun or something. It wasn't that heck, like, it ain't get, I just been, you know, in the streets. There's also, I like being outside. You know, one of the little boys that like sleeping out, just being outside all day, just do a bed. When the gun, all that stuff, that shit come to play to like what? High school. Yeah, like late 8th grade or some 7th, 8th grade when it really got to that point where you gotta hurt somebody or somebody trying to hurt you and you gotta.
Yo, they said to 8th grade. So yeah, he didn't get it. Yo, he made it seem like, yo, it took a while. Yeah, it really didn't get to that point until it was like 8th grade.
Protect yourself.
Von would rap on the unreleased song Wait that he jumped off the porch, getting deeply involved in gang politics in 2006 when he was just 12 years old. Von would initially be a member of a local street crew affiliated with the Gangster Disciples called Killer Ward, being seen in numerous group pictures with that crew. And affiliates from the area would later post tweets suggesting that Von was indeed putting in work for this crew during his time gangbanging in Killer Ward, with Von himself corroborating that he was close to the members in Killer Ward where he was born, but making it clear that he's always been a member of the Black Disciples due to his family affiliation. Now, Von would live around Killer Ward up to around 2008 or 9, after which he would eventually move to the infamous Parkway Gardens housing development. This housing complex is notorious for its affiliations with the Black Disciples street gang. Parkway Gardens would later be referred to by insiders as O-Block, but prior to that, it was referred to as Wick City. And here, King Von would meet many of the people who would end up having a huge influence on his life and career. People famous for their affiliation to O-Block, whether through the gang wars going on there, or through the music that had been made about
Alright, like, no disrespect. Let's get to the killings. Like, no disrespect.
But the very first murder that Von was associated with took place on April the 28th, 2012, when a group of 4 men would catch a man called King Doc, real name Marlon Monroe, shooting him as he walked into a convenience store, with Doc apparently stumbling into a patch of tall weeds after the shooting, where he would pass away and lay undiscovered for hours. Doc would eventually be found dead by his 16-year-old cousin, Modell McCambry. Doc would be remembered as an original native of St. Lawrence and Eberhart Avenues, with his affiliation to the area likely the reason that the killers from O-Block would target him, despite the fact that Doc had apparently left the gang life behind him, becoming a painter to get out of the streets. Apparently hurt by the death of his cousin, Modell, that boy who discovered Doc's body, would then begin to get more involved in the gangs in the area too, beginning to hang around with people like KI and FBG Duck, as well as being seen on social media with guns. In fact, it's actually around this time that social media begins to play a bigger and bigger role in the gang war in Chicago. And during this time, King Von himself would become a prolific user of Twitter, beginning a flurry of activity on the platform after signing up in June 2012, and going on to tweet constantly about his activities in the streets, seemingly with no fear about incriminating himself.
Yo, this is how you know Von was killing from a long... Like, Von is an old school killer. Look at this.
In the streets, these crimes would continue to play out. On August the 7th, 2012,
Wait.
media begins to play a bigger and bigger role in the gang war in Chicago. And during this time, King Von himself would become a prolific user of Twitter, beginning a flurry of...
King Von been killing niggas since he had a BlackBerry, bro. You know what a BlackBerry is, my dude? This is before an iPhone. Nah, this nigga's a serial killer. I'm sorry to tell y'all. Now, if you've been killing people since you had a BlackBerry, this is getting out of hand. King Von been killing niggas since he had a Nokia flip phone. I'm sorry. This is getting out of hand. Nah, come on, bruh. King Von been killing dudes since he had a Nextel pager. Remember you could ping people on the BlackBerry? Holy. This dude was... Jesus.
Of activity on the platform after signing up in June 2012 and going on to tweet constantly about his activities in the streets, seemingly with no fear about incriminating himself. Von would openly claim to be drilling in the name of O.D. Perry. He would say that he was like Phineas and Ferb in the streets with his best friend and fellow O-Block shooter T-Roy, warning ops not to diss them, claiming to shoot people like it's nothing. He would tweet that he's been drilling from young and even wants to kill cops too. He would say outright that he will whack people. He would regularly diss numerous rival hoods and gangs, and be claiming to be paranoid due to having so many people trying to kill him. Von claimed on Twitter to get so enraged whenever he hears the name Tuca or St. Lawrence that his trigger finger just starts itching. But during this time that Von was tweeting openly about all the crimes that he was willing to do in the streets, these crimes would continue to play out. On August the 7th, 2012, Von would make a tweet saying that homicide is in the air and that it smells like a graveyard. Then, in the early hours of the morning the following day, on August the 8th, 2012, a group of guys from O-Block, rumoured to include King Von and T-Roy, would be out looking for enemies to kill. Dirty Rel, real name Terrell Joshua, an older member with affiliations to St. Lawrence, Eberhard, and Jarrow City, who had actually moved out of Chicago but was back in town, would end up being shot dead and found on a sidewalk on the first block of East 56th Street in Washington Park just before 3:30 AM. However, in this case, retaliation would come fast. As the day of August 8th, 2012 goes by, that same evening, around 11:30 PM, King Von is out with his close friend White White, real name Tony Dunn. They would go to a convenience store together on East 63rd Street and South Martin Luther King Drive. Here, Von would go inside the store whilst White White waited outside. At this point, a gunman pulls up, shooting White White in the back, with a police officer on the scene even returning fire and hitting the shooter, who ultimately managed to escape. White White would be pronounced dead in the early hours of the morning on August the 9th, 2012. This date just so happened to be King Von's 18th birthday. This was a devastating incident for Von, who would tweet numerous times about the murder of his friend Whitey, including this one where he said that he had just bought Whitey a pill and gone inside the store, only coming back outside to find a crowd surrounding his shot friend and at first believing that Whitey would be okay. After this, Von would tweet messages saying that this killing is what led him to act out, and in the days following, he would be pledging to kill his enemies publicly. Von later elaborated on his mindset around this period in his song Demon, saying outright that witnessing the death of his close friend Whitey on his 18th birthday is the exact thing that turned him into a demon. And
damn,
I've seen him do it! Von would rap that after this, him and his right-hand man T-Roy would be doing hits back-to-back to avenge this tragic loss. Von would apparently be trying to kill much more ruthlessly after this, desperately wanting to get at rival shooters K.I. and Wooski, who had mocked White White's death on Twitter. In September 2012, King Von and others caught K.I. on the train, apparently beating her up and mocking her on Twitter in the aftermath. Von would eventually catch up with K.I. in much more deadly circumstances, but not for a couple of years. For now, he would continue to gangbang in the streets with his O-Block brothers like T-Roy, ultimately winding up implicated in numerous murders as he continued to seek revenge for the murder of White White, and one body at a time, building up a fearsome reputation as one of O-Block's most ruthless killers. Chicago drill veteran Tay Capone would tell 16 Shot and Visuals in an interview that if you hung around King Von in 2012, you simply had to accept that you would be in shootouts.
If you was hanging with Von, you had to accept everything that came with Von. You had to accept that you was gonna be in shootings, accept that it was gonna be that, and you had to be with it, you feel me, with Von.
King Von was on a mission in 2012 to get revenge for the friends that he had lost to the gang war. Losing OD, Platoon, and White White turned him into a demon, he said. So he would spend every day in the streets of Chicago stalking his ops and broadcasting his activities on Twitter for the whole world to see. On September the 6th, 2012, Von would get arrested, even taking selfies for Twitter inside of the cop car. He would post pictures of him and his partner in crime T-Roy dubbing themselves the O Block Savages. In fact, after posting one picture together, one woman from O Block even suggested that Von and T-Roy stop being photographed together in case somebody sends it to the police. Von would tweet how him and T-Roy's names were ringing in the streets and that people were praising them for doing their thing, regularly using this as a catchphrase to refer to his drilling, tweeting warnings to the ops that he's about to go on their block and do his thingy thing, telling them that they have 2 hours to clear the streets and promising to blast them on sight. Von would even reflect on a conversation that he had had with T-Roy, saying that they can't die soon because they know they're going to hell for all the bad things they had done in the streets. Von would even openly tweet about shooting up Dunbar High School around this time, and
no fucking way.
that he hasn't taken anybody down for a while, and saying that he's getting dry. Perhaps a tweet with a double meaning that could refer to sex or murder. That very same day, Von would tweet that his ops party tonight is getting cancelled. Later, Von is tweeting asking for somebody to come and get him. And 30 minutes later, Von tweets simply, "Ha," followed by 45 Glock me. That very night of October the 13th, 2012, Modell, that same teen who had found the body of his cousin King Doc dead just 6 months before, would be walking down the street with another one of his cousins on their way to meet a girl, when just before 9:30 p.m, somebody approached them on foot, opening fire. Modell would be shot in the chest and later pronounced dead in hospital. No one was ever charged with this murder or attempted murder. But many years later, police documents would be released revealing that King Von himself was positively identified by a witness as the shooter, with T-Roy apparently at the scene too. This meant that King Von was the prime suspect in the murder. And not only that, but King Von would tweet immediately after the killing. Now, it's important to remember that Twitter timestamps run on Universal Coordinated Time. That's the same as UK time, and that's where I'm reading these tweets from, which is 6 hours ahead of Chicago time. So for me to get the exact time of a tweet that was made by King Von or KI or somebody else in Chicago, I have to take the time that it shows on Twitter and minus 6. I'm telling you this because Modell was shot at around 9:30 p.m. That means that King Von tweeted who died about 17 minutes after the murder of Modell took place. And that tweet was followed by yet another one reading, "It's not safe around our way," which came less than an hour after the shooting. And Von's "who died" tweet would provoke responses from somebody who even knew Modell, with Von saying that the dead person is...
You know what I was thinking? Because if you guys don't know how just many modern crimes are solved, police use the common way of solving most crimes now, and I'm wondering if maybe Chicago police either don't care. Obviously, we know that, sometimes while investigating a crime, the person who's a suspect gets killed anyway. So they're pretty much chasing their tail around. So they just kind of just ease up at times because the streets just take care of the streets. But also there's a set of incompetency that you would have to imagine that allows a dude to kill 10 people without getting caught. Like, for example, the YNW Melly situation. What's most likely going to get him convicted is dumb evidence that have came through his cell phone and GPS positioning. So when I see that this dude is tweeting 17 minutes after a murder, and the streets are saying that he's killing them, you tell me Chicago police couldn't just confiscate his BlackBerry back then and be like, hey, if you're tweeting from your phone, this bounced off this cell tower, you were right in those 2 square blocks where the guy died, and everyone is saying it's you. Like, this is why it sounds crazy, because you can't do this type of shit now in any city with like a competent police department. You get what I mean? Like, for example, we're going to talk about the guy who killed BTB Savage. Why he got locked up is because cell phone data put him at the crime scene. You know what I mean? Like, thank God people are idiots. Keep your cell phone in your pockets while you do the crime. Great. Yeah, you're masked up, but unless the masked person who killed the person had your phone, and obviously there's like a camera on every, every toll booth, every like major intersection, they could track you where you went after or before the murder, right? And show your cell and use your cell data to corroborate that you were in the car before and after. It's kind of easy to catch criminals these days. You know what I mean? Like, all someone has to do is get on social media. The dudes are telling on themselves. Then use, hit Verizon Wireless or T-Mobile or Cricket Mobile with the goddamn, subpoena to get the cell records. and match it up with GPS data, you can kind of see where dudes are moving around. Like, so these days committing a crime, like you're being tracked. So when I hear this, I'm like, this dude is tweeting 17 minutes after he killed somebody. Chicago police must just not give a fuck.
Somebody that they know. In addition to that exchange, the female shooter from Tuckerville, KI, would end up getting arrested not long after this for apparently shooting indiscriminately into O Block, hoping to kill anybody in retaliation for Modell. None of this seemed to bother King Von, however, as he clearly got a lot of satisfaction out of having seemingly killed again. The day after the murder of Modell, Von would tweet that him and T-Roy have a problem, and that they can't stop doing their thingy thing. Von would tweet that the streets are in trouble when he's coming, and he would brush off the cops' attempts to arrest him. In fact, only 2 days after the killing, he would get into an argument with a well-known Tuckerville GD known as Wooski on Twitter. Wooski had inferred that he had been out looking to catch Von that day, asking him where they were at, with Von leaving a heartless reply saying that he was getting t-shirts made for Modell's funeral. Unsurprisingly, Von would find himself on the radar of the police following the murder of Modell, getting picked up for unlawful possession of a firearm and being questioned in October 2012, with Von later tweeting that the cops grabbed him and warned him to be careful. Apparently the cops even told Von that when they question their ops, they all talk about him and T-Roy, suggesting that their names are feared in the streets. Von would even tweet after that his own mother was beginning to hear the rumours about his violent behaviour in the streets and she was trying to put him on punishment. But Von wasn't deterred, and he kept using Twitter to increase his reputation as a killer. The following month, Von would be sending unprovoked Twitter ats at Wooski asking if he knew who killed Modell, provoking responses from numerous ops who wanted to see Von dead, including Wooski and KI. And to me, this is where we see King Von really beginning to take pleasure in killing. For years to come, he would tweet mocking Modell, saying it's messed up what happened to him and that he's a straight sucker. It's this sort of behaviour where I believe that Von crosses the line from a normal gangbanger killing to survive to a full-blown serial killer who is taking the lives of others systemically for his own personal gratification. At this point, Von has already satisfied the conditions of being a serial killer, having allegedly killed more than 3 people in different locations with large periods of time in between the killings. And his tweets express a clear tendency to take pleasure in killing and a desire to show the world what he's doing. In a way, King Von's purpose in life at this point.
Yeah, imagine your mom telling you, hey, don't leave your room. You just killed 5 people. Like, okay, mom. Like, what the? Imagine pulling the killer on punishment.
In time, wasn't just revenge and murder for sport. It was about doing these crimes and giving the world clues about what he had done. And as the story goes on, you'll see King Von constantly hint towards his crimes on social.
Somebody, so my boy Fortune Fame, he said, remember back then, BlackBerry were used for things because they were supposedly secure. Remember, Obama's first phone as president was a BlackBerry, and it was specifically for that reason. Understandable about the phone and the data itself, but it still uses the same technology of cell towers. Now, I'm not too sure what the technology, how advanced it was in GPS triangulation. Like, I'll be watching some weird stuff on YouTube. I don't know if you guys are into these things, but it gives you a better understanding of how cops probably do their investigation now. Like, right where I'm at, right? The police could tell probably within 20 feet of where I'm at just because my phone is here, right? Now, obviously, that information, they have to like query a few places to get that information, map it out, but they could get up to 20 feet of where I'm at right now. It's like you're walking around with an air tag, right? Because what happens is like, you know, just how you basically communicate. And by the way, when you're traveling, they could get a whole path of where you went just off of, okay, you hit this cell tower here, this, like, it's crazy. You get what I mean? Like, from what I watched this whole thing about it, they could even tell how fast you were driving. If you look at the GPS data that was analyzed in the FBG Duck murder, they knew that them dudes was speeding. They knew how, well, obviously they have the surveillance footage of the guys running downstairs to get in the car. They get in the car, and they're speeding to the Gold Coast because that's where FBG Duck was. They have even how fast the car was going, which shows you how complex and how intricate police, you know, number one, they don't have to like go from door to door and knock. They could just use technological data from And by the way, I think it's going to get worse with your car. All they got to do later on is query Tesla, or, all the cars are going to be electric or going to be pretty much just smart cars in a way. Every car has a computer, but now as we kind of move away from gasoline and we're going to more, you just plug in your car type of stuff, it's going to be more of a reliance on these cars going to be controlled by a computer that, and we're probably going to see these cases at some point. What happens when a local police or DA queries or sends a subpoena to Elon Musk saying, we need to know where this car went on this night, which completely would violate their customer's right? But we need to know because we're trying to put that customer in jail. These things happen from time to time. Like back in the day, I remember everybody was like, they were fucking with, I believe, there was one like mail program. You have Gmail, this and third. I think Hotmail or something like that. Like essentially one of them stood up to the government saying, we're not going to give you access to our customers' emails, even if you subpoena it, because we tell our customer they have a right to privacy. That also happened with with social media too, because essentially now what happens if they go to Facebook and Instagram and they say, we want your DMs or we want whatever you sent in vanish mode, there has to be a record kept, right? And they could get that. By the way, look at the Taxstone case. They got it from Telegram. So Telegram or whatever company owns it gave up the conversation, including some, I've never used Telegram, voice recordings by Taxstone. So again, there's been at times in history, certain companies that put up a fight to say, nah, we not about to give up this data. But at this point, nobody wants to really go against the U.S. government, go against the police. The FBI is constantly using this information. And it just makes solving crime pretty easy because motherfuckers love their phone. Somebody says Apple. I think Apple had said they wouldn't So there was a phone that potentially had evidence in it. And by the way, Apple has not cooperated. Apple went to not war, because they didn't care about the particular person. They care about the theory. That's when Apple had they had almost like protected codes and whatever, because the Apple iOS software or OS X, if you're thinking about computers, were completely different from Windows, which was more open source. So you could hack your Windows computer to do all type of stuff. With Apple, remember the reason why they never got viruses, or some people believed, was because their shit was more on lockdown. They didn't allow people to manipulate their software as much or their operating system. And when the government was trying to get into some of their phones, they just weren't with it. And it's not because they were protecting the person, even though it looked like it. So on the customer face, we're like, oh shit, Apple's protecting us. They really didn't give a fuck about the customer. They're just saying, we're not going to be here just like opening up our phones to anybody, right? Because shit, we got this new wave that we're trying to take over the world. And by the way, I think Apple did take over the world. I think there's probably more. Have they? I probably have to do a Google search on that. I think there's more Apple products now than, if we had all Microsoft products, if you ask me. Anyway, Apple stood up to them. And then you know what happened in return? They might still even be going back and forth, but the government they pretty much started paying these other people who could extract phone data. So like nowadays there's a company called Cellbrite, and all law enforcement agencies use this. So if they take your phone, they don't got to go to Apple no more. They go to this thing. And I watch a whole thing on this shit too. Every time a new iPhone comes out, the encryption and how to get the information extracted it's like night and day. So it takes them sometimes up to a year to break into, like, say, the iPhone 14. Like, they could get into any iPhone 14. So the cops work with this company. This is the company who does it. There's about 4 other companies too, but this company does it. Remember what happened, and I'm sorry, like, this is like the geekiness shit that I be interested in at times. Remember when Young Thug phone got taken in 2015? Remember, Apple wasn't going to open it for them. They want to get into Young Thug's phone. Young Thug had the latest phone, and the police couldn't get into it. What ended up happening, this company, Cellbrite, came back a year later saying, hey, we could now access this phone. What happened, though, Young Thug's lawyer already put in a motion to get the evidence turned back over. They had requested that the evidence turned back over, back to Young Thug, which means technically there should be no more searches on the phone. They got into the phone a year later, and then they found shit trying to use. And later on, which recently last year, the judge in this new case, in this YSL case, is saying, yo, y'all can't use that stuff because the time period you had to go through the phone, y'all claim y'all couldn't get in there. And it's when they use a search warrant, it's not based on if they could get in there or not. The search warrant says for them to confiscate the phone and search it, but it doesn't say you have to let them in. So he didn't have to give them the passcode or anything like that. They got to get in. And they couldn't get in during the time that they should have had the phone, and they should have returned the phone, then they got in later. So that's one of the little loopholes I realized. Anyway, my bad. I go my little nerdy type of, I like watching shit like that.
Social media, in his music, and even on television. But now, the pattern had emerged, and Von clearly had a thirst for blood. He was becoming a talented shooter and not facing any consequences for these crimes. And so, in the coming months, Von would be rumoured to have been connected to at least 3 more murders, with the police only catching up to him when it was too late. In late 2012, Von was earning a reputation as a feared shooter in the Chicago gang wars, something he would be more than happy to broadcast to the world. Von would be seen in clips posted to social media, sliding in cars with his partner in crime T-Roy and others, throwing up gang signs and saying that they're smoking Tuka.
Yeah. Yeah. Look.
Zico. Both of the Jardels.
And he'd be seen with his boys mobbing deep in trap houses.
What's up?
And Von would even broadcast his activities rolling with the gang to the local store. Von was surprisingly open about his gangbanging life on social media, and he would be particularly active on Twitter during these violent months. He would tweet openly that he was planning to shoot at random people in traffic. He would tweet that he is STLK, or a St. Lawrence killer, and interestingly, around these times on the 18th of October 2012, O-Block native Chief Keef would release his hit song Love Sosa, a legendary Chicago drill anthem with lyrics about killing people for disrespecting O-Block. At this point in 2012, Chief Keef had become a global rap star off the back of his single I Don't Like, which was given an all-star remix.
Alright, we're gonna skip through this a little bit more. They said the murder of Boss. Oh no, this is the murder of P5. Who's P5?
By Kanye West, and ended up landing at number 73 on the Billboard charts. That song had lyrics about the gang wars in Chicago and lives being lost, and Chief Keef's music was becoming for. On October the 30th, Von would tweet that it's his main man T-Roy's birthday, and later that day, Von tweeted that he was drilling like OD. At 8:45 AM, Von tweeted, "Check the stats," a reference to who has the most bodies in the ongoing gang war. According to the police, less than 30 minutes after this tweet was made, at around 9:13 AM, P5, aka Crack, real name Derek Johnson, would be shot multiple times in the 6200 block of South Eberhart Avenue. The 23-year-old was rushed to the hospital, but pronounced dead at 9:54 AM. The incident report would record the time of the shooting as 9:13 AM in the Chicago time zone, which on Twitter for me would display as 3:13 PM. That means that just 3 minutes before the recorded time of the shooting, Von tweeted, "laughing my arse off." Then at 9:13, the time that the police estimated the shooting took place, Von tweets, "his 45 makes his ass do 40 flips." And then, only a few hours after this early morning murder, just after noon, Von would tweet the early bird catches the worm, and then going on to tweet about ops making the news, saying that he does his thingy thang for real, saying that he erases people like he drew them, and tweeting that his ops aren't trying to win like he is, and saying that he is doing this for OD, Platoon, Sherroid, and White White. Von would claim to be finding a lot of things funny that evening, once again tweeting numerous times that his 40 made someone do 40 flips. As the days went by, Von's tweets would get even more bold. Just the day after the murder, he would tweet pondering whether he was messed up in the head and indicating that he thinks he's gone crazy. Things would get even more incriminating just 2 days later when Von put out a tweet reading, "Damn, Modell got killed in October. And Crack, who's going to get killed in November? Stay tuned." And he would tweet RIP Crack and Modell, as well as tweeting asking when the funeral is. Von would even reply to KI and Wooski, who tweeted each other about going to a funeral, with Von saying that he was on his way too, and even offering them a ride. Von also tweeted at Wooski asking if he knows who made Modell World or Crack Crew, another reference to crews renaming themselves after a fallen member who's passed away. Now at this point, Von is establishing a clear pattern, getting the location of his targets, shooting them dead, and then celebrating publicly on Twitter. And within only a few weeks of the P5 incident, yet another high-profile murder would take place, with Von's involvement having been debatable, but his Twitter account telling a very different story. In November 2012, King Von would be tweeting openly about killing. He'd say that he was the go-to guy for hits in his area. He'd also say that he was the captain of the drill team, tweeting about murder and homicide, saying that he's a hitter by himself, and that the whole of O Block are coming for their ops. He would even tweet that he was sacrificing people, as well as bizarre tweets about how much he liked cereal, something that I personally believe was a coded message indicating that Von was beginning to see himself as a serial killer, something that he would continue to do throughout his career. From here, Von would continue.
No way. Somebody from Chicago tell me what that means. Or maybe he really just likes cereal. He kept saying early bird gets the worm. Maybe my boy was getting you know what I mean? He was eating his Wheaties before he got out there and started clapping people, man. Little Frosted Flakes, Honey Nut Cheerios. What's the problem?
Continue tweeting about wanting to shoot his ops in the face and get up close and personal, alluding to committing murder and tweeting that he had big balls and does things that other people would only dream of doing. King Von would boldly tweet that he will never get convicted of a murder, saying that he would never set himself up to go down for a body. He would mock his ops, saying some make it out alive and some make it onto the news and die. Also during this time, Von would even react to Barack Obama winning the 2012 election, something ironic considering the fact that Michelle Obama apparently also hailed from O Block. But even in celebrating this monumental news, Von would also tweet that a black president with ties to his city simply wouldn't stop him from killing his ops. On November the 7th, 2012, Von would tweet about bodies dropping and beating the case. Later that evening, he would tweet that he was out sliding with T. Roy, who he himself would also tweet saying that he's about to go and get his gun, before replying to KI, who had just tweeted a list of a bunch of names of people associated with O Block who had been killed, with T. Roy retaliating, providing his own list of people from KI's hood who they had apparently killed, as well as tweeting #bang just after midnight. Then, the following morning, the news would report on the shooting of a 17-year-old by the name of Rodney Stewart, aka Boss Trell. Boss Trell had been found with a gunshot wound to the head around 6:50 AM and was immediately rushed to hospital. And he would even remain alive for several hours, during which time he was visited by friends from the neighborhood like FBG Cash. But while Boss Trell was in the hospital fighting for his life, Von and T-Roy would be tweeting. T-Roy tweeted "man down" only hours after the body was discovered, with Von tweeting #thestruggle, prompting T-Roy to infer that Von was behaving like the police. Von would follow up on this tweet, saying that people aren't dying on time, and T-Roy would also tweet mockingly, saying "no, Trell, stay alive." Then, in since deleted tweets, allegedly by King Von, he would suggest that he had actually spent the day trying to get KI on the phone. However, Boss Trell would be pronounced dead that night at 11:30 PM on the 8th of November 2012, and the following day, King Von would take to Twitter once again to mock Boss Trell and his ops. He would tweet that STL doesn't stand for St. Lawrence, but instead for steady taking L's. Another tweet would drop with King Von telling people, "Don't worry about who killed who, just be glad that you didn't get killed and shut up." This was followed by another tweet aimed at Boss Trell, saying lol, you ain't the boss to me. Many theories suggested that T-Roy and Von and possibly others were involved in this murder. Some have said that it was T-Roy, others have said that it's Von, or potentially even the two of them together. But it is worth mentioning that there's an alternative theory that Boss Trail was actually murdered by someone completely unrelated to this feud, who was apparently trying to retrieve a gun that had been taken from him. But regardless of who was responsible, Von and T-Roy were certainly happy to see Boss Trail gone, and they would continue to tweet boldly about it publicly. Their ops on Twitter would warn T-Roy over the disrespect, but for King Von, tweeting about the murders going on in the streets was a must. Von would post saying that the ops are dying frequently and that he doesn't plan on slowing down. He would say that he will kill an op anywhere, and once again reference cereal, saying that he eats cereal after shooting people, another hint in the ongoing joke that Von is indeed becoming a serial killer. Von would even mock the ops for having funerals. He simply didn't care what anybody thought. It seemed that Von was hell-bent on killing his enemies, and he would be hell-bent on tweeting every single time something negative occurred in the streets. However, Von's days would be numbered, and following the next hit that he was implicated in, he would tweet once again, perhaps a little too recklessly this time, finding himself behind bars for over a year. After the deaths of Modell, P5 and Boss Trell, you would think that King Von would have kept a low profile, but no, he would continue to tweet suspiciously while the killing continued. However, when the next person lost their life, King Von's tweets would go to a whole nother level of self-incrimination, and he would actually find himself on the wrong side of the law. On the 19th of November 2012, 32-year-old man named James Holman, aka Lil James, would be standing on his porch on the 6000 block of South Michigan Avenue around 8:20 p.m. At this point, 4 people would approach his property, opening fire, shooting him in both the arm and chest, with him being pronounced dead in hospital less than an hour later. Only 23 minutes after this murder, Von would tweet, "Man, not on anything," followed by another tweet reading, "Clown ass." Von was mocking somebody, but we didn't know who or what for. Meanwhile, T-Roy would put out a tweet asking if somebody got shot yesterday. And then, only 6 hours after the shooting, Von would tweet that he kills GDs often. And then, in another rare deleted tweet that somebody else from O-Block quote tweeted just 21 minutes later, Von would apparently brag that he has killed 5 GDs and shot 10. With a later news article even confirming that James Holman, the man who was killed most recently, was indeed a gangster disciple. Furthermore, a police report on the Lil James murder would describe the shooter's height and build, which apparently matched Von's description. Now, Von tweeting that he had killed 5 GDs after the death of Lil James is particularly interesting, because there's always been a lot of speculation on exactly how many people Von had killed and who specifically he was responsible for killing. And at this point in time, Von had been associated with 6 murders in total. So, if Von himself is apparently confessing that he has killed 5 people at this point, then it's likely that just one of these murders he had nothing to do with. From here, Von would continue to tweet throughout the day, saying things like, "Dissing him will get your people killed."
Hey, I'm going to speed the video up a little bit. Tell me if it's too fast. I went to 1.25. Let me see.
And another asking openly who made Crack Block, another reference to the murder of Crack, or P5. Unsurprisingly, the authorities would catch up with Von just 3 days after the murder of Lil James. Perhaps they'd read his tweets. Von's capture would be confirmed by a tweet from his sister from his own Twitter account saying that he would be in jail for Thanksgiving, with Von's charges later being revealed as unlawful possession of a firearm. Numerous mugshots of Von would later circulate online, and Von would end up in jail for over a year, for a period spanning from November 2012 to February 2014. And in the meantime, his mother, sister, and friends would all tweet from his Twitter account calling for Von's freedom and keeping his name alive. However, Von's sister would also tweet that Von told her that when he gets out of jail, he's just planning on killing more people. And ultimately, none of the more serious charges would even stick to Von, and he would eventually end up being released back onto the streets of O-Block, where he would, as expected, immediately get back to doing what he loved, drilling and then tweeting about it. King Von's sister would announce from his Twitter account on February the 11th, 2014 that he would be home from jail tomorrow, with footage of Von cutting off his ankle monitor and throwing up gang signs circulating online after his release. When he got back out, he would be back on the streets and involving himself in gang politics once again. His first tweet out was dissing the ops, of course. He would also openly wonder where T-Roy went, as apparently his partner in crime had ended up in jail himself during this time. Also upon his release, Von would also tweet at famous names in the Chicago drill scene like Boss Top, Lil Reese, Chief Keef, E-Day, Rondo No. 9, and Capo. He would then go on to diss 2 people that he allegedly killed, Modell and Crack, but at least least initially, it didn't appear that Von was able to commit any more acts of violence, because apparently, following his release, he would wind up on house arrest for a short period. But that didn't stop him from posting pictures of himself at home, dissing Tuka with a gun sticking out of his pocket. Pictures of Von with famous BD hitters like T-Roy and D-Rose would circulate around this time, with the likes of Chief Keef even reposting them as a sign of respect for the most feared local shooters, with Von also sharing pictures of his crew to Twitter openly, with the caption simply reading, "gang members." Von would also tweet about it being a very scary year for the ops, even tweeting disrespectful collages featuring photographs of rivals who had been killed recently. Von didn't care one bit what he was posting on Twitter, and honestly, it didn't seem like the police cared either. Von tweeted openly that he will kill someone on St. Lawrence, promising to shoot ops in the face and kill them fast, dropping mocking tweets about people he had allegedly killed like Modell. He would pledge to drop even more bodies, even tweeting that he was shooting as soon as he got off house arrest, and tweeting that he just got a new gun and he wanted to do a drive.
On BD, if I don't get tonight, somebody getting smoked my first day off house arrest, motherfuckers better hope I get some ass. Oh, he said if you don't get no pussy tonight, he killing somebody. Just bought a new gun. Let's go do a drive-by. I'm on that boom, 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 boom. Okay.
By with it. Now, on March the 25th, 2014, GD rapper Lil Mark, associated with a crew called 051, would drop a song called No Competition. This would be a remix of Black Disciple rappers Lil Durk and Lil Reese's 2013 song Competition. Lil Mark would essentially use Lil Durk's beat to diss him and his OTF crew from Lamron. But it wasn't just Durk that was getting dissed. Lil Mark would diss numerous people associated with the Black Disciples, including people from both O Block and an affiliated crew of BDs known as 600. Lil Mark's song would mock OD Perry and J Money and see him rapping openly that he is a Black Disciple killer, as well as proudly repping his affiliations to his gang set 051 Young Money. This song made Lil Mark a huge target for both O Block and 600. And around this period, King Von would frequently tweet that he was in traffic, riding around the city, armed and looking for ops to kill. On March the 28th, 2014, Von would tweet that he was in traffic, tagging D-Rose, an infamous shooter from the O Block affiliated set 600, with D-Rose himself tweeting that the cops hate to see Von, T-Roy, and him all together. Von would tweet gunshot emojis around 10 AM on the 28th of March 2014, and only a few hours later, that very same day, around 1:30 PM, it's believed that a large group of gang members were riding around in a silver minivan with Florida license plates, most likely a stolen car. Meanwhile, a 20-year-old Mark Campbell, aka Lil Mark, was at a bus stop on the 300 block of East 51st Street. It's believed that that minivan pulled up and a masked man jumped out, shooting Lil Mark in the head, with Mark ultimately being pronounced dead at the scene only minutes later at 1:41 PM, and that minivan connected to the shooting being found in flames at 6:30 PM that very night. It's widely believed that D-Rose was the shooter, with King Von being present for this murder. D-Rose even posted a clip to social media of him and his friends returning to the scene of the crime and filming, where King Von can allegedly be heard in the background of the car.
Hey, the 51st!
Damn, body down.
Oh, that goes into hold on.
Body down, 51st. Gang.
D-Rose would tweet, call them, never heard of them, with a laughing face just 36 minutes after the killing. King Von would tweet, just 42 minutes after the shooting, die why, with a bunch of laughing faces, with this being a sign of disrespect to Lil Mark's gang 051 Young Money. That tweet was then followed by Von saying 051 better keep their head up, with a bunch of laughing emojis. Then he says he lives for this, F the ops. And just in case there was any doubt about King Von being present for that murder, he would also reply to somebody on Twitter discussing Lil Mark, saying outright he just saw the murder, with King Von going on to tweet at other O Block affiliates that they would be celebrating that night. Von was speaking so recklessly on Twitter, his sister would even tell him to go in the house, with a defiant Von replying to her with gunshot and demon emojis, then tweeting that Lil Mark's death was getting him attention from women, even going as far to say that Lil Mark's pregnant girlfriend might have cheated on him, followed by another tweet a few days later where Von claimed that he leaves people dead at the bus stop just like Tuka, a tweet that's even more disrespectful when you learn that Lil Mark was actually Tuka's older brother. D-Rose would also tweet the day after the murder, saying you ain't gotta ask who shot him, indicating that he was indeed the shooter of Lil Mark, as well as proudly saying that he was smoking on Marco. But Von and D-Rose weren't the only ones celebrating the death of Lil Mark, because Lil Durk, the original subject of Lil Mark's diss song No Competition, released just 3 days before he was killed, would end up making a trip to the very bus stop where Mark was gunned down, with Durk telling his followers that this was a very special place.
Hey, this bus stop right here though, this a real famous place, yeah? It's a real famous place, baby. Hey, this bus stop is a real famous place, baby. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Because of all of the attention from rappers about this incident, Lil Mark's death became news beyond the local Chicago papers, with this killing taking place during the heyday of DJ Akademiks' War in Chirac series, where Akademiks would report satirically on the Chicago drill scene and the shocking crimes going on within it. King Von himself would even go on to rap about killing people at bus stops many years later, as well as on the song Exposing Me, where he says that he is smoking Lil Mark and Tuka. And Lil Durk would go on to do the same thing, rapping in the December 2014 track War with E-Day 600, also saying that he is smoking Lil Mark and Tuka. Now, it's never been definitively confirmed who killed Lil Mark, but it's widely believed that the two most likely hitters are D Rose or King Von. But whether or not King Von actually did it, he clearly got a lot of gratification from just witnessing this murder, further fueling this strange bloodlust that he was cultivating around this time. If he wasn't the one killing, then he would at least want a front row seat and an opportunity to tweet about it. However, it would be the next murder that would seemingly be Von's most proud moment in the streets, because he would end up finally catching somebody who he had wanted to get for years, leaving clues on Twitter all the way up to the killing. And then, in an insanely twisted turn, not only would Von get away with the murder, but he would go on to appear in a documentary interview about the victim without anybody even working out that the killer that they were looking for was sitting right in front of the camera. 17-year-old gangster disciple Jakira Barnes, aka K.I., was a legendary figure in Chicago gang history, with the Chicago Sun-Times describing her in a prominent feature as a prolific female assassin in the Chicago gang war. K.I. has been described as the real-life Snoop from The Wire, a reference to the masculine female killer from HBO's crime drama. K.I. herself had been close with Tuka growing up, and her rumoured involvement in the killing of O.D. Perry in retaliation would make her feud with O-Block deeply personal. No doubt, King Von was obsessed with K.I. Von and K.I. would have extensive back and forths on Twitter, with it being unclear whether he was trying to date her or kill her. Their first interaction occurred on September the 25th, 2012, when Von would tweet claiming to have beaten up an op girl on the train, with K.I. replying to this saying their arm, ear and face were injured, but she's not bothered because her gun will put a hole in her ops faces, with the tweet the following day indicating that she had perhaps shot at Von or somebody that he knows. They would go on to have a back and forth, with Von asking K.I. if she's a gangster or a bitch, with K.I. indicating that she is indeed a real gangster. Von would go on to reply to her post, shouting out her gang, asking her why he never sees her when he spins the block, with K.I. replying that Von can die just like White White, with Von saying she'd better kill him because he will kill her and she doesn't have the good aim like he does. That same day, K.I. would tell her followers to retweet if they think she looks good. King Von retweeted it. K.I. would tweet saying that she'd beaten up someone from O-Block and that they should go and tell Von that she is tough. This would prompt a reply from Von, where he would say he can tell that she's tough, and jokingly asking her if she's looking for a boyfriend, as well as expressing doubt that she had even beat up his friend, with her replying saying she'd caught an O-Block member on the train who had denied being from there when beaten up, with King Von's sister chiming in claiming to have been there too, and K.I. saying that her victim didn't even punch her back. All this provoked a sarcastic reply from Von, where he said that he thinks he was falling in love with this fighting female. Von would later post tweets where he said that he's going to treat her right if she becomes his wifey, and later beginning to regularly refer to her as wifey. When K.I. replied to Von, Von would say that he has her on his mind a lot and that he misses her, even telling his sister that he wanted to marry K.I. Now, many years later, somebody on 4chan would claim to have hacked K.I.'s private DMs on Twitter, and revealing that around this time, Von had DM'd K.I. asking her if she wanted to hook up, or more specifically saying he wants to nail her. She would reply saying she's not interested, to which Von replies, when all of this is over, he will have her. More alleged tweets would see K.I. asking Von straight up if O-Block are plotting to kill her, to which Von replies, he's not going to lie, there are people looking to kill her. But Von would say he doesn't think he can kill her, because he thinks she seems cool as hell, even having the nerve to ask her when she's going to stop gangbanging. K.I. would reply saying she's not going to stop, calling King Von a goofy and asking him when he's going to stop. Von would laugh and tell her that he's gangbanging until he dies, and that he will never lose or quit, with K.I. ultimately agreeing with this and saying that she's planning the same thing, before mocking Von, saying he must feel really threatened by her, and questioning if he really thinks they can kill her. Von replies saying that they're trying to kill anyone, they're not just desperate for her specifically, before revealing that he had apparently had his gun on him when he beat her up on the train, but saying he didn't kill her because the police were there along with a woman from his block, with Von saying that if he really wanted to kill her, he would have took his chances and shot her in the train or the street. In response to this, K.I. would reply, come and get it, because she's ready to go to war with anyone, with Von clapping back, questioning why she takes things so seriously. After this alleged private exchange, Von would reply to a public tweet of hers dissing O.D. Perry, and reminding her that he beat her up, even saying that he wishes he'd spat on her afterwards. Now, Von began to use K.I. pretty much for entertainment, beefing her on Twitter whenever he was bored, but K.I. would be looking for Von in real life, however. Von would tweet that he has his ops scared at the corner store, and K.I. would reply saying that she's on the way looking for him, also tweeting asking where he is, with Von replying sarcastically telling her to be safe in the streets. More alleged leaked DMs between K.I. and Von would emerge, with K.I. asking Von where he was, with the two of them seemingly arranging a shootout, with K.I. even asking if T-Roy can come too. K.I. later claimed to have walked through O-Block and not seen a soul, with Von saying that they're too busy to have a shootout right now. Von would later allegedly DM K.I., telling her to call him when she's ready to put a dress on and let her hair down. They'd keep going back and forth on Twitter publicly, building up this insane public history. K.I. tweeted that she was going to the store, and Von would warn her not to. Von would tweet reminding her that he had beaten her up on the train, with her saying that he's been hiding ever since. Von would clap back, asking when she's coming back to his block for a date, and K.I. would then remind Von of all the times that people from her side had beaten him up. Other O-Block members would tweet their intentions to kill K.I. too, and she would tweet that she wants to see King Von face to face. Von would reply, she really doesn't. One tweet would see Von say that he'd spent all day trying to get K.I. on the phone, and that her voice sounded sexy. Even after Von went to jail in 2013, Von's sister would tweet at K.I. saying that Von had asked her to go and visit him in jail, with Von's sister later suggesting that she had even had a fistfight with K.I. and saying that she will see her on 63rd, perhaps for another fight. When Von was released from jail in 2014, he would tweet at KI and ask if she missed him, with her replying, asking when they're meeting up, and adding 4 gun emojis, with Von expressing disappointment that KI didn't come and see him in jail like he'd asked. Now bear in mind, tweeting at KI was one of the first things that Von did upon getting out of jail. He tweeted her twice before he had tweeted at Chief Keef or any of his actual friends from O Block. He was obsessed, but KI would continue to mock Von, asking him how it felt for his friends to die while he was in jail, even retweeting Von's own tweet, saying rest in peace J Money, and going on to insult him in a tweet of her own. This was a reference of Von's friend J Money from O Block, who had been killed in September 2013 whilst he was in jail, with Von retaliating, saying rest in piss to Crack and Modell, with Von even later tweeting that he can't be mad at women unless they're ops, in which case they can die. And another tweet saying how desperate he was to catch a female op. Von and KI would tweet at each other much less in 2014, perhaps because Von was looking to reduce the paper trail leading to him if KI wound up dead. But in the days following Little Mark's death in April 2014, Von would release some brazen tweets. On the 1st of April, he would tell a friend that he would never start rapping and that he prefers killing ops, and tweeting that he had bodies on his gun. On the 6th of April, KI would tweet saying, people won't get the picture until you put them in the frame, along with a gun emoji. That same day, Von would tweet saying if you're not where I'm from, you will get killed. That was followed the next day by Von tweeting that he was always looking for a woman and he can't find her, and saying he will stop looking and let her look for him. He would then go on to tweet on the 10th of April that there's some women he would do anything for, telling her to just hit his line. That would be followed by another tweet saying if a girl leaves him, then she's leaving the best, with it unclear if he's talking about her leaving him or her leaving this earth. That was followed by more tweets where Von would say if a girl is with the ops, then she's getting shot, and that he's not playing with op girls this summer and they should watch out. In the early hours of the next morning, KI would make the ominous tweet, in the end, we die, as well as tweeting her apparent location just off 63rd. And later that afternoon, KI would be standing on a nearby porch in the 6400 block of South Eberhart Avenue, only a 3-minute walk towards O Block from the location that she had tweeted she was at earlier that day. And that was the day that King Von would allegedly find that woman that he had been looking for all this time, as KI would indeed be gunned down on April the 11th, 2014. The murder report on KI's death would feature a witness describing the shooter who hopped out of a car, catching KI and another man who were about to shoot dice. They would run into a gangway, but the shooter kept firing, apparently even shouting, yeah, bitch ass N-words, as he fired the handgun at KI multiple times. She would be shot 9 times and declared dead just 2 hours later.
For Chantel Brown, the statistics are more than just numbers. Within 12 short hours across Chicago, 14 people were wounded, 2 people killed, one of them being Brown's oldest child.
I'm just going to miss her presence. She was a very, very beautiful, well-known, lovely girl.
17-year-old Jakira Barnes loved basketball, her friends, and being with family. It's still under investigation what exactly happened Friday afternoon in the 6400 block of South Eberhart, but neighbors say Barnes and a friend were walking along the sidewalk when a gunman started firing.
When the bullet hit, it was so powerful, she fell on the step.
Residents who do not want to be identified say Barnes fought to live, but had been shot at least 9 times.
In the jaw, in the neck, and in the chest, and in the leg. 9 times, they said.
Barnes was transported to Northwestern where she died, and tragically for this neighborhood, it wasn't the first child lost to gunfire.
And Von would go on to tweet just hours after KI was pronounced dead, saying that he loves his gang and they love him, before tweeting, mad that nobody misses him. And this was followed by people confirming that KI had been killed. O Block veteran Jay Hood would reveal in a Cam Capone interview many years later that Von came back to O Block and told him what he'd done immediately after the murder.
But he literally say just like this, I'm looking straight, he meant why I just run up on KI and why I just ran up on them and caught KI. She was the last one running out of the gate. I was like,
why is this guy just saying the whole thing? Ain't he the guy that was talking about Melly too? This guy's giving it up. What's up with him? Is he on his TYMB Faye vibe?
No way.
The day after the hit, Black Disciple rapper Lil Reese would tweet Von's catchphrase saying that he does his thing, seemingly a congratulatory post to Von, who replied saying, you got to. Von would later tweet that he needs a real bitch, and over the next few days, he would once again deliver a flurry of activity on Twitter, tweeting that his ops don't scare him, and that the whole gang war is funny to him. He would say that he's lost a lot of friends, so his enemies must die in retaliation. Von would also tweet saying that people wouldn't believe the things that he does in the streets, and saying that he will never tell. Von would even copy KI's earlier tweet from the week before her murder, about people not getting the picture until you put them in the frame, as well as tweeting at her, saying he misses his old girl. Von was clearly in a celebratory mood following the murder of KI, and he would go on to make post after post referencing the ongoing gang war, posting tributes to T-Roy, telling his incarcerated friend that he was going crazy on the streets while he was locked up. Von was seemingly proud of himself for all he was achieving in the streets at this point. He would seemingly update his body count to 6, openly tweeting, homicide in the air, and that he made 6 people extinct for playing hard. Von would even post his own mugshot saying they should have never freed him because he's a menace. He tweeted that he put people's brains in their lap and asked his followers if they would still be there for him when he gets 100 years in jail. Von would suggest that he is only competing in kill counts with T-Roy, suggesting that those two were the most deadly people in the streets at this time, and he would claim to wake up in the morning thinking of nothing but killing people. Other rappers and well-known figures around Chicago drill would continue to tweet congratulating King Von after this murder, people like Lil Reese and Boss Top, and Von would also tweet on April the 28th that there's only 2 places for a man like him, presumably jail or hell. Clearly, he must have had an inkling that he would end up being picked up in connection to the murder the following day, on the 29th of April. But Von would never be formally charged with K.I.'s murder. He would deny even knowing her and would initially offer to do a polygraph test, as well as providing a loose alibi, relying on a woman claiming that she had been with him the entire day of the murder. Combine that with the fact that Von had apparently checked in with his parole officer just an hour before the murder worked in his favour, despite the crime scene being only 35 minutes from the parole office, meaning that Von had over 25 minutes spare to get there and kill K.I. immediately after signing in with his PO. As a result of these slick maneuvers, Von would indeed be released the next day and face no further consequences in this situation, and he would tweet that he beat that case like Rocky and that he was in a good mood, showing love to everyone but the ops. That was followed by him tweeting laughing faces and saying that he was grateful to be free and that he's too real. A few days later, Von would be tweeting that he beats bodies and that he doesn't plan on going to prison, as well as seemingly referencing K.I.'s resemblance to Snoop from The Wire and calling her a dead op. Years later, Von would even go on to brag about killing K.I. on songs after he started rapping, famously saying on the track War With Us that he put a pretty op bitch in the morgue, you can call her drop dead gorgeous, as well as saying that he keeps a strap like K.I. on the song GTA. For years following this murder, people, including myself, speculated on whether King Von had killed K.I., or whether it was the work of fellow O-Block hitter Big A, who reportedly went by the nickname ASCII, or Ask K.I. after her death, suggesting that he had something to do with her killing. But in lyrics to King Von's leaked song Wait, he seemingly rapped about the day that he caught K.I., with lyrics a lot of people believe would allude to Von jumping out of the car and chasing K.I. down the alley, with Big A being the driver. Von would also rap on the song Cousins that he kills women and men and can't tell the difference. But it wasn't just Von. Lil Durk would also rap in December of 2014, the year that K.I. was killed, on the song War with E-Day, seemingly suggesting that he had owned a gun that was used in K.I.'s murder. Now, rapping about someone that you killed is one thing, but King Von actually went on to do one of the most psychopathic things I have ever seen. Because on May the 23rd, 2019, a documentary about K.I. would air on A&E titled Secret Life of a Gang Girl. This piece goes in depth into the life of K.I., exploring her motivations to become a gang member despite being a petite young woman, as well as interviewing some of the people that knew her during this time. And that documentary about K.I. would interview none other than King Von, who was featured prominently in the documentary, and if you ask me, he was just straight up trolling the TV crew, who clearly hadn't done their homework. Von would appear in the show, portraying himself as having been an infatuated admirer, pursuing K.I. for nothing but romantic reasons. And the fact that the film crew didn't even have an inkling that Von was responsible is just crazy to me. And it's not like the info that he killed K.I. wasn't already circulating out there at this point, because while Von is in jail for his next murder in 2016, word of his story as a shooter in the Chicago gang war would spread on the edgy message board 4chan, where a gang-obsessed 4chan member would claim to have accessed K.I.'s private DMs, exposing those private messages which we already saw between King Von and K.I. all the way back in 2012, with this deranged 4chan user even replying to friends of K.I. from her account who had continued to DM her after her death looking for closure, with that 4chan hacker writing a lengthy post claiming to have been told by a friend of K.I.'s in the DMs that they believe King Von was her killer. Bear in mind, this information was floating around all the way back in 2016, 2 years after the murder and 3 years before the documentary. However, eventually, a whole year after Von's death, in 2021, the Chicago police would release documents revealing that they believed King Von himself to be K.I.'s killer, with apparently multiple witnesses pinning Von as the shooter, but unfortunately, the state decided not to prosecute, stating that the case simply wouldn't meet the burden of proof to secure a conviction. So, King Von would be released back on the streets after having allegedly killed the girl he had seemingly spent years hunting.
Nah, you're right. Yo, somebody said not King Von offering up a polygraph test. That's ridiculous.
Down. But only a month and a half later, Von would go on to catch yet another murder, which would finally land him in jail, and just briefly, putting a stop to his serialized killings. After being questioned about the K.I. murder and being released with no consequences, King Von felt invincible. The month is May 2014, and Von had seemingly killed a total of 6 people at this point. As usual, he'd be on Twitter non-stop, hinting at his actions in the streets, asking God for forgiveness for killing his ops, and saying that he shoots first and asks questions later. He would tweet that he's in a different league when it comes to killing, and others need to catch up, and telling the world that he's always armed and ready for his ops. Clearly Von was active in the streets, as well as on Twitter, claiming to be driving through his ops area literally as he was tweeting, and saying that he has an itchy trigger finger. Von would claim that anybody can get smoked for the right price or cause, warning his ops not to come near him or he will shoot. Von would claim to never be putting his gun down because too many people have died in the gang war, taunting his ops, saying he knows that they want him, but it's not his time to die. Von would even repost a viral clip from WorldStar titled When Keeping It Real Goes Wrong, a video apparently showing a group of people filming themselves going to Chief Keef's neighborhood and getting shot at, a clip that people would later claim was actually King Von doing the shooting. I mean, just imagine having the balls to shoot at people and then retweet the world star video of you shooting at them. The same day as this, Von would claim that he's buying guns with 100-round magazines and wondering who he's going to shoot, as well as saying that he'd been gangbanging all day and now he's tired out. The following day, Von would tweet saying that others wouldn't do half of the stuff that he's done and plans to do in the streets, and Von would say that he plans to keep scoring until he wins. Only 2 days after that, Von would find himself attempting to score again. On the 29th of May, 2014, an afternoon party would be going on at 5722 South LaSalle Street. Von would attend this party where he spotted 2 members from the rival gang. At this point, the mother of the person whose birthday party it was apparently told Von not to start trouble in her house, with Von saying that he wouldn't and leaving. Von would leave the party and go and get a friend, Big Mike, apparently telling another person who was still at the party on the phone that he was coming back and that they should take the children inside. Von and Big Mike would return to that party, parking down the street and approaching a group of 3 men outside the house, opening fire. 3 of those men would be hit by gunshots, whilst Von chased them, allegedly yelling, "Why are you running?" And when the shooting stopped, a 19-year-old man by the name of Malcolm Stuckey would be declared dead with a gunshot wound to the head. The Chicago police would respond to the shooting at 6:10 p.m, arriving on the scene where police were pictured securing the location around Malcolm's body. Apparently Von was really trying to kill 2 rival gang members that he saw at the party, ultimately hitting 3 people for only killing Malcolm, who allegedly wasn't the intended target or even involved in the gang war. Perhaps this is why we never hear King Von in his career disrespecting or saying that he's smoking Malcolm like he did to many of the other people that he was rumoured to have killed. But there would still be hints at his involvement, because while Malcolm had been laying in the street with a bullet in his head for several hours, only 12 minutes before he'd officially be pronounced dead, Von would tweet saying that he has some issues, but he cannot tell a soul about them. Meanwhile, Boss Top from O Block would tweet that Von is the guy who sits people down if they run up. Now, it would take nearly 2 months for the authorities to connect Von to this murder, and during this time, he would continue to be prolific posting on Twitter. He would tweet that he was on the block with his gun in the early hours of the morning, just the day after the murder of Malcolm, and tweeting that all of the things that people are hearing about are him. He's the one responsible. He would tweet saying that he's killed so many ops that he doesn't have any more feelings. He'd also tweet that it's all fun and games until somebody you know is no longer breathing. And he would tweet saying that he did all of this on parole and just wait until he gets off, with a demon emoji. And in another deleted tweet that was apparently reposted by somebody else, Von openly tweeted saying that he wanted to go on an all-out killing spree. However, King Von's crime spree would ultimately be cut short on prom night of all nights. Von would be pictured holding a gun at O Block in his suit in the hours before prom, and he would even tweet warning people not to try him while he's dressed in his suit. Von would then end up doing a shooting in his prom suit with witnesses describing his outfit, ultimately leading to his arrest. Von's last tweet would be on June the 7th, 2014, the ominous statement, "Loose screws get nailed." He would end up being arrested on firearms charges on prom night, and then
Von was shooting shit up on... First, I didn't even know Von went to prom. Now, this is a sick guy, man. Prom night, all you could think about is pussy. It's all about, damn, like everybody popping out. Like in high school, that's when you know even the girls who ain't really give it up all year, like they know, yo, school about to be over, everybody about to go to college, yo, just give it up because you ain't gonna see these people again type shit. You feel me? So, you know, a lot, you know, god damn.
Following month on the 20th.
Somebody say he rapped about this? No way.
22nd of July 2014, Von's accomplice in the murder of Malcolm Stuckey, Big Mike, ended up getting charged with murder and being taken in for questioning by the police. Then, 2 days later, on July the 24th, 2014, King Von, already in jail, would be charged with 1 count of first-degree murder for the killing of Malcolm Stuckey and 2 counts of attempted murder for the other 2 people shot in that incident. Von's arrest for this crime would attract significant media coverage, and he would remain in jail awaiting trial from June 2014 to December 2017. And during that time, people would tweet from his Twitter account saying that they missed him, asking for visitors to come see him on his birthday, and posting clips and pictures of him in jail during his visits.
Let's go.
What's up, you miss me, man?
Yes!
You lying.
No, I'm not.
You got the money from mobile?
No, it's still a whole car.
Come on, sir. I'm placed up. I love
Nigga ugly.
While Von was in jail, he would raise hell, apparently helping to start a huge fire on the wing in April 2017. He would constantly get into fights with his ops, apparently never turning down confrontations.
That's why I can say Von had over 20 fights in that. He was. He talk about jail. He talk about that shit like it's a rite of passage. Like every was a street like him, he was like jail was coming. Yeah, that's why he was always in there, because he never cared about jail. That's how he was able to be the type of he was in the streets. Because some of these savages, like, and you supposed to do with that in the back of your mind, like knowing, like, man, go south, go to jail. Well, shorty sliding up on like the police don't even exist. He just smoke you broad day.
Von would remain in jail for an extended period of time, around 3.5 years in total. And during his time in jail, he picked up the nickname Grandson, apparently for his resemblance in image as well as temperament to the Black Disciples founder David Barksdale. also known as King David. It's obvious that King Von took a lot of inspiration from the original founder of the gang that he repped, the Black Disciples. Not only going by the name King Von, but also frequently saying David Barksdale's nickname, often ending sentences by saying, "on King David."
So King David.
Also, while Von was in jail awaiting trial, the conflicts in the streets would continue to play out, and Von would eventually get the worst news imaginable. His right-hand man T. Roy would be shot and killed in a convenience store on Valentine's Day 2017. Von's people would post Twitter tributes memorializing his friend and favourite shooter, and Von would later open up about the very moment that he got the news about T. Roy's death while he was in jail.
Yeah, R.I.P. T. Roy, man, that was my best friend. That nigga on my neck. That's how strong that shit. I got him gang banging on my neck. That's how we was gang banging up.
With Von saying that he completely broke down crying when he found out that his right-hand man T. Roy was gone.
This my dog. Before they killed my dog, I was locked up. Killed me, I broke down. I ain't cried so long. But every day, this my I'm in jail. I'm fighting the murder and shit. I call it every day. This my right-hand man. So I'm telling him, like, all right, now since he go, you can tell him, he getting that. Man, I'm gonna get you out, boy. I'm gonna get you out, man. Whatever I gotta do, I'm gonna get you out. I swear to God. You know, but we in the streets, you know how that shit. So he trying to hustle, he trying to rob, all type. He doing whatever he can do. Yeah, I'm gonna get you a lawyer, bro. I got you, you know. He tell give me this guy. I be calling, man. Don't even worry about it, man. Just look, just you make sure you know. I mean, I'm gonna figure this out. Just be cool out there. I call folks. It's like this on like Valentine's Day. You see what I'm saying? I call my mama back. Man, she crying and shit. Mama, what the f you crying for? You good? You know what I'm saying? Ooh, they shot T-Roy. T-Roy got...
Yo, give me 1 second. I'm grabbing something upstairs. Give me a second.
Oh, what? Ooh, what? Oh, look at the phone. You know how that you in jail, you can throw it on. What? Now we calling. No matter what's going on. He got hit once. Some shit. Oh, damn. What the f going on out there? I'm T-Roy. Got shot. Look, this is the thing. Y'all don't know T-Roy. Y'all gotta leave our history of T-Roy. Y'all don't know. T-Roy got to go further. That's T-Roy. That's T-Roy. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Y'all don't know T-Roy like I know T-Roy. You know what I'm saying? So now here he gets shot on. He don't want to tell me like don't be lacking. Don't be. You know. He was on me. He used to be on each other. You know what I'm saying? Cause me and him, we back to back with my boy. You know what I'm saying? Folks got shot. I said, hold on. I said the streets. Hold on. Who got shot? Who? Nah, he a gangster. He got shot before. He a gangster. Folks ain't make it on front of mouth. I play it out, you know me. You know you gotta play it out. You in jail, so all type of goof ass around. You know these 30 all of your business on King David. I walk it off. I'm just walking around in circles on the deck, you know. And they put their arm around me when I'm like, man, you good, bro? You good? What's wrong with you, Vaughn? Yeah, I'm good. Ooh, what's wrong with you? Got fun, man? I'm good, you know. They what happened? I mean, they just killed T-Roy. Ooh, he what? I'm T-Roy. They just killed T-Roy. I got it breaking down on King David. I couldn't help it. They hugging me. These some real. You know what I'm saying? We grown ass men. Folks grab me to hold me. Get to there, you gonna be alright, but you gonna be alright. Oh, hold on, boy, that's my best friend, boy. Somebody just killed my best friend while I'm in jail. I'm in that gonna go crazy. Oh, I'm in that. Don't know what's going on. I'm in that. I'm that man. Oh yeah, I'm in that. Nah, not my best friend. You know what I'm saying? I'm in that big guy. And a lot of hope, cause he be. Y'all know how folks see us, man. T-Roy, T-Roy, let me see. The guys just looking like, ooh, this preaching on. Oh, don't trip, you know. Y'all know this that street. The street watching me like that. I know, yeah.
This is the first time I've ever seen King Von hurt. I could tell he definitely thought him and T-Roy were Shaq and Kobe. Shaq and Kobe are murder. He looked like he didn't give a fuck about nothing else.
The streets, I better pay attention. I ain't gonna keep doing it. This don't supposed to be for free.
Von would take T-Roy's death very seriously. Even after becoming a famous rapper, he would threaten to kill trolls who would DM him mocking T-Roy on his birthday.
Fuck how you feel? You a shorty on, oh, I'll kill you. Yo, as a little boy, I'll choke you out my motherfucking hands and beat the shit out you. And then that shit fool you, boy. I'll drop my motherfucking location on you. Pull up, I'll kill you for real, man. Yo ass HFE Larry. Yo ass a goofy, man. Your ass is a bitch, boy. Stop fucking playing me. Go play with somebody else, bro. I'll fuck you up for real. I don't even play like that, gang. For real.
Despite spending 3.5 years in jail, eventually Von would finally face trial for the murder of Malcolm Stuckey. Von's family tweeted from his Twitter account in November 2017 that they had been attending his trial at court. And despite what was originally thought to be a clear-cut case, Von's co-defendant would end up implicating himself and Von in the crime in an attempt to secure a deal with prosecutors, but ultimately backing out of that deal at the last minute, leaving prosecutors scrambling for any evidence that would actually implicate Von in the murder. Allegedly, eyewitnesses who saw Von that night failed to testify, and King Von would even even later rap about the situation on the track What's Next, saying that they killed the only witness and that Big Mike was the only one who spoke. This turn of events would see King Von being acquitted of all charges due to lack of evidence, and Big Mike himself going down for 16 years, plus an extra 12 for backing out of a deal with prosecutors, so a total of 28 years. After this, King Von would be a free man once again, beating a body and returning to the streets of Chicago with his freedom and a clean slate. The family of Malcolm Stuckey would later admonish Von on social media for getting away with this gruesome murder and going on to become a rapper. But, as we'll soon learn, Von had zero shame about the things that he had done in the streets. In fact, he would wear the badge of a killer who beat a body with pride. And after killing an alleged 7 people in total, when Von got out of jail, it would be time for a new beginning, as the newly free King Von would take all of his stories from being a killer on the streets of Chicago and put them into songs. Becoming a Chicago drill rapper with so much credibility as a gangster, his music simply could not be ignored. And soon, all over Chicago and around the world, Von's name would be ringing, as people would begin to discover what appeared to be the realest gangster rapper who ever lived. After being acquitted of all charges in the murder of Malcolm Stuckey, King Von would walk out of jail a free man once again around the 6th of December 2017, being seen walking fresh out of the gates on social media. Von would also return to Twitter as well as the streets, telling 16 Shot and Visuals that his friend E-Dog from O-Block picked him up and the first thing they did was go and buy a gun.
I want to rock. My family gotta give me E-Dog them. I want to rock.
At the time of his release, Von wasn't yet a rapper. It's unclear if Von ever really had aspirations of transitioning from shooter to rapper. On the one hand, there's old tweets where he perhaps jokingly said that him and T-Roy had planned to release music, but nothing ever materialized. On the other hand, he had also tweeted that if he ever starts rapping, you should kill the person closest to you because something ain't right. So it's safe to say that at least initially, Von's plans were not music. At least not for himself, because one person who hadn't forgotten Von during his long 3.5 years in jail was his childhood friend and Chicago rap superstar Lil Durk, who had tweeted his support for Von whilst he was still in jail fighting his charges, and apparently calling him regularly, even providing money for a lawyer. Durk would welcome Von home from jail with open arms, with Von actually revealing later that his friendship with Durk had initially had an ulterior motive, and that at first he was just planning to hang around Durk and rob people that he knew just to get himself to $100,000.
I wasn't no rapper, so it wasn't none of that rapping shit. I'm thinking like, I just need to get 100,000, I'm gonna be decent, I'm gonna rob this, and I'm trying to rob this other. And this is what I was thinking in jail when I was, before I got to jail, talk to your homies in jail. They say, what you gonna do? I say, I'm gonna go around Dirk, and I'm just gonna catch me. I'm gonna go around Dirk, and I'm gonna catch me like 2-3 months. You see what I'm saying? And Dirk, I ain't gonna let him know because he gonna try to stop me.
After coming home from jail, music was the last thing on King Von's mind. He just wanted to get money and flex his newfound freedom. He would be seen fresh home, posing in new outfits on Instagram, with pictures celebrating his freedom, attracting threats from his enemies like FBG Cash. But it seemed that Von's friends would be looking out for him, and no one was looking out for Von more during this time than Lil Durk, who would invite Von into his life and entourage as he continued his rise as one of Chicago's most promising rappers. Durk was working on his 2018 mixtape Just Cause Y'all Waited, and that tape featured the classic track Durky O Crazy. Soon after getting out of jail, Von would be sitting in the back of Durk's car, previewing this future classic before it was released. Perhaps the reason that Durk wanted to play Von this track is because the song itself references Von's case, with Durk rapping that a witness went missing and now Von is coming home. Once again, Von's real life of crime was providing inspiration for Chicago's biggest rappers. Clearly Durk was inspired by the return of his newly freed hitter and would continue spending time with him. Later that day, in the same Instagram live, King Von would explain to Durk how he grew his hair in jail just to keep himself warm, and explaining just how painful the shackles were that he was forced to wear whilst in solitary confinement.
It was cold them nights. It was cold them nights. For them great, I'm under that blanket. Ooh, it was ugly. Ankle still got that scar on it. Look for the thing. The shackles, them killing.
Going to court?
In the hole, you gotta wear shackles.
Oh, no?
Man, everything.
Every day?
Every time you come out?
Oh.
Yeah, every day. You gotta get on the phone. Man.
This when you walk, we can this.
Right, now it'd be the back of my shit, because my ankle's little as hell. Full now. Look, I got that on.
Von would seemingly spend Christmas 2017 with Durk too, with them being seen together on social media listening to classic Chicago drill anthems by LA Capone. Moving into 2018, Von started off in classic savage mode, posting on social media toting guns and declaring his desire to bring war to his ops. He had been seen on clips on social media, walking through O-Block and showing the world that he was still in these streets, untouched even after all of the people he had allegedly killed, even speculating on who was in the comments on these lives, his ops or the cops.
Oh, we let block. You know I'm gonna block. Hey, y'all in the house, so I don't be knowing if these are fans or folks. Folks not gonna like fans.
As January went on, Von would continue to flex his muscles on social media, and he would be seen listening to NBA YoungBoy of all people, whilst chilling with O-Block native Mana Duke and telling followers that they were smoking their dead ops.
A lot of your dead mans. Phone them. Tuka man, goddamn it, Brick man, Kobe man.
You be strapped up.
And we strapped up.
Clearly, Von was still in the streets initially. After enjoying some time in Atlanta with Lil Durk, once he'd returned to Chicago in February, he'd quickly find himself in trouble, tweeting that he was riding around with a gun and weed. Then he would end up getting arrested at O-Block on February the 14th, 2018. The one-year anniversary of T-Roy's death, with this arrest taking place soon after he tweeted that he was in O-Block and armed on the anniversary of T-Roy's murder. Von would be arrested on charges of shooting and bodily harm, with cops claiming that he ran from them and threw a gun, battering them in the process of the arrest, with the body cam footage of this arrest later becoming public, which showed a menacing King Von telling the police with pride that he just beat a body and 2 attempted murders.
So it's the gentleman we were chasing, but on video they went back, went under the cars where we think he ditched it, got in the vehicle, we stopped the vehicle, get him out, battery, fight with that, vehicle takes off on us, and we got this, and then we got about 50 people around. So
what happened?
You're gonna go to jail for battery. To police officer.
Why it?
Me?
Where?
And you
I got everything. Where at?
Thank you very much. We'll take it then.
I've been cuffed since I was in the car. If I go home, it's Valentine's Day.
You got the plate number since you got it on tape, man? Oh, you don't have that? Okay, listen. All right. I know, but I don't have it ready.
Come on, finish.
Switch them off.
2 N's, 2 T's.
Watch it, because he's gonna... You live here?
Hey, why? Hey, why? You live here? I don't know.
What?
You got middle?
Yeah, like this one.
And
she was here the whole time videotaping.
94.
Oh, for majority, but not when we got him out of the car. I cuffed him this way.
But y'all let me go to my Valentine's Day.
You talked to jail.
I just got it. You don't know me. That's what I'm saying.
What were you like him for?
A body into it.
I'm sorry?
You want it? You gotta have it.
You're gonna want to cuff him back.
Yes.
Come on, he's all kinds of fun.
Look out, look out. We got you.
Let go, stupid man.
No, we got you.
Let go.
We got it from here. You got locked up over here recently?
No, hell no.
What'd you locked up here?
I got it. Jail, be my case. I'll try to person
Right. You on video right now, man.
It's cool.
The chase behind your back.
So I'm getting right now. Just put that on video.
We'd have figured it out.
Now I'm not under arrest.
Yes, you are.
For what?
Probably trespass over here.
Oh, yeah.
And hitting a guy.
Hit who? Everybody got fur hood.
See battery? Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
All right. Where's your coat?
He asked him, man. The super cop.
Where's his coat?
It's in the back seat of the
It's gone?
After the arrest, a furious-looking King Von mugshot circulated online, but Von would be out within just a couple of days, tweeting that he believes that the cops have it out for him because he escaped those murder charges, and he would boast that he would never let them get him. Clearly, King Von wasn't ready to permanently move on from his life as an O-Block hitter, and he would still be going live on O-Block in March 2018, mocking their dead ops.
Right. Who got Tuka Man? Hurry, get Tuka Man! I sure got trapped. Poppy! I can't be in no room without smelling Tuka. I got at least smell it from just to know like Tuka's still around. And loving memory of Tuka.
But Von would also continue to be seen hanging out closely with Lil Durk, seemingly making regular trips to spend time with the rapper in Atlanta. At a certain point, Von and Durk would be reunited with another friend and feared Chicago shooter, THF Bezu, with Bezu, just like Von, beating a 2014 murder charge for a shooting that occurred in 2009. Lil Durk was now rolling with 2 certified Chicago shooters on his team. But the plan wasn't to shoot. Durk planned instead to transform these hardened street figures into rap superstars. The realest rappers who had ever rapped, with the realest backstories to back it up. Von would post pictures in the studio with Durk, saying that he isn't going back to his old ways, and hinting to an upcoming career in the rap game. Since beating his murder case and coming home, Von had the perfect backstory to kickstart his music career too. THF Bezu had essentially been through the very same situation. So Von and Bezu would be paired up and placed into a studio where they would record a song all about their shared experience beating real-life murder charges. Something that Von and Bezu would open up about in a 16-shot interview.
Me and some bodies. That's the story we can tell. They tried to do some bodies we ain't doing. We be.
On May the 27th, 2018, King Von and THF Bezu released their first song, Beat That Body, a track coming with shocking lyrics where Von essentially admits to catching bodies, beating them, and even saying that he now plans to catch more. This insane backstory would be irresistible for Chicago drill fans, with Durk later revealing that people instantly went crazy for Von's music in Chicago.
And he see like us what we doing his music, and I had a studio in my house. He just tried it, when he dropped the song, like the reaction was just like, he next. I'm like, oh, You own something, you know what I'm saying?
But Von didn't seem too hopeful for his rap career to begin with, barely promoting the song, and seemingly having no plans to give up his full-time job as an O-Block driller, or at least shot caller, because in the months that followed Von's musical debut, killings would still continue to play out in the streets, with Von appearing to remain plugged into the action. Not only giving Von and his gang even more credit in the streets, but with these murders also providing Von with the inspiration to get back into the booth, where he would continue to record music all about the deadly violence that he would soon become famous for. While King Von was in jail, numerous people from O-Block ended up getting killed. Perhaps it was precisely because their most fearless shooter was in jail that so many people ended up passing while he was gone. Von was particularly hurt by the killing of T-Roy, his right-hand man, and after T-Roy was killed, a new set of gangsters would form in O-Block who went by the name Get Back Gang. This was a hardened crew of shooters whose sole focus was to get revenge or get back for the murder of T-Roy and other beloved O-Block natives who had been killed while Von was in jail. Another one of these fallen O-Block affiliates was Chino, who was shot dead on the 17th of July 2016. Another, Big A, was gunned down in a restaurant near O-Block on the 4th of December 2016. Get Back Gang would be on a killing spree trying to avenge their fallen friends, looking to kill anyone who played a role in their demise. Poppy, believed to have been involved in hits against O-Block, would be gunned down at work on the 16th of June 2017, allegedly being shot in the head by an O-Block member called Heck, who would go on to be known by the nickname HK or Headshot King. HK was T-Roy's brother and would reportedly avenge him, with T-Roy's alleged killer TB or Terry Barry being shot dead on the 26th of December 2017. However, HK himself would end up being killed in O-Block 2 just before Von got out of jail on the 24th of November 2017. Another person who seemingly lost their life to Get Back Gang's revenge campaign during this time would be FBG Brick, FBG Duck's just kept getting away with it, living a gang life in Chicago, as Crazy Story Part 3 was finally released. This was another op-shooting, storytelling anthem, and the most significant release leading up to September 19, when his Grandson Volume 1 mixtape would come out. This was a roaring debut for Von, with the project landing at number 75 on the Billboard 200. And this project had some crazy song concepts, like the track F Your Man, which is a love song, where Von raps about seducing a woman with a boyfriend and vowing to kill him for her, along with numerous lyrics about killing ops and catching bodies, as well as shooting up funerals. He also had another song with Lil Durk called Twin Nem, where Durk says that Von shoots people, and that they got caught shooting on camera with no mark.
Oh, my bad. Hey, y'all tell me what y'all want me to do, right? Because I skipped 2 portions of it. I think we got through most of, like, the murders they claim he was a part of. Y'all want me to keep like, there's still some portion of it left. You want me to keep letting the rest of it rock? It's going to get to the YoungBoy shit. Or should we move on? Y'all let me know. I'm going to do whatever y'all want. Let it rock, let it rock. Okay, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. By the way, I'm drinking my second cup of. I don't know if you guys know. I started drinking coffee. This is black coffee, so I don't. It's just straight black coffee. I drank 1 cup earlier. I'm drinking another cup now. Just gonna make sure I stay on stream for another few fucking hours. So I'm definitely locked in with y'all. Don't worry.
Outright that he tries to kill people, ironically saying that he can't speak on what he's doing because the feds are watching him, you know, while rapping about what he's doing on his Billboard charting mixtape. He also had the pop rap love song No Flaws, where he sings to a woman about how dangerous and handsome he is. He also had a song Mama's Boy, where he says that his mother is who raised him into the robbing savage that he is today. He also references beating up K.I. on the train on this song. Von was putting out a lot of bold statements on this project, and surprisingly, with all of this coming out whilst he was still behind bars. Eventually, Von would get out of jail on October the 10th, 2019, being released and returning to Twitter immediately, continuing to push and promote his new mixtape, as well as announcing that he would be going on tour to perform his new hits live. And Von would go on to play huge shows with his fans going crazy, and he would waste no time beginning to tease new music soon after his mixtape dropped. Specifically, the first single of his next project, titled 2 AM, a song where Von rapped the brazen lyric, "Can't put no more guns in my videos, cause the ATF and DEA know they ain't props." And after this release, Von would claim to be receiving multi-million-dollar record deal offers. But while Von was getting more and more famous, so too were the rumors of him being a real killer, and his incriminating lyrics weren't helping matters either. During this period, it seemed like Von would simultaneously be claiming to have really done all of these murders in his music, but then at other times, being desperately trying to convince his following that he never did anything. On his November 29th release, the song Rollin' with fellow rapper and accused double murderer YNW Melly, Von would rap that he has killed so many people they should call him Rambo, and saying, "I did it, but it wasn't me," which perfectly sums up his attitude during this time, jumping on songs and saying over and over again that he really is the killer they say he is, and then jumping on Twitter to say that he would never do anything like the rumors say he did. He would tweet after this release saying that somebody is trying to send him to jail every day. And in December, Von would appear prominently on Lil Durk's Family Over Everything compilation album for his OTF record label, with the front cover of this project ironically resembling a suspect board for a criminal investigation, with Von positioned as an underboss under Lil Durk. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the feds just downloaded this image and added it to the case file. But a few days later, on December the 14th, 2019, Von does a post on social media saying that he is all these dead people want to talk about in heaven. Rest in piss to the goofies. I wouldn't be the savage I am today if it wasn't for y'all. It seemed like Von was really getting more and more comfortable saying that he was a killer publicly. The following week, on December the 21st, 2019, Von does a feature for the rapper Lil Loaded where he raps that he put that boy in a box. But not long after this song dropped, Von would go live on Instagram in the car telling fans that he has bodies and even going as far as to ask them to guess how many people he's killed, and asking the fans if they think that it's more than 5 bodies, and even seemingly swearing on O.D. Perry's life that he has killed more than 5 people.
Audience will tell. And I got a lot of bodies. Tell them I got a lot, BJ.
They know.
Just for you, how many I think? Tell them stop there. Nah, you can't.
Hey, look.
How many though?
What y'all think? Or y'all think his ass all cap?
More than 5.
Well, y'all think his ass all cap?
More than 5?
Maybe cap.
I'm tweaking out. I'm tweaking to out.
Oh, you ain't? It's sorry.
Oh, more than 5. Ah, shut up.
That numbers.
They put numbers up there. They put numbers up there. No, I'm just playing, man. We trying to stop playing.
You know?
Hey,
y'all get off that scary shit, y'all. Y'all getting scary. Stop being so scary.
There you go. Get out. Okay, damn.
Von was either feeling invincible or just being completely reckless. He would tweet a couple of days after Christmas 2019, beat the odds time and time again without doing no funny stuff. Staying 10 toes. I done chased and beat up the guys that you were claiming was gangster, and I got fans all over the states. One of the realest and rawest people you'll ever meet. You're welcome. As well as saying, F his dead ops. Going into 2020, Von was still winning, tweeting that it now costs $20,000 to book him for a show, and then announcing a huge booking opening for G Herbo on his PTSD tour. Clearly stacking that paper, in February, Von was going live at the bank, making a large deposit, and pressing the bank manager.
Posting that crazy. What's up, man? You good? They feed me. Ain't nobody with you, is it? On his ass. Nobody's safe.
But soon Von's bank account was about to go to the next level, because at the end of February, he would release one of the biggest songs of his career, his hit track, Took Her to the O. Another storytelling type track with a catchy chorus where Von shouts out O Block. But this time, it wasn't some random made up story. This was a song all about him meeting a woman who leads him to his rival from Tuckerville turned rapper, FBG Duck. Von ends the song saying that he shoots Duck, literally rapping that he killed him and left him on the curb, with this supposedly fictional FBG Duck murder scenario being reenacted in the music video of the song too. The day that Von released the video, he would tweet saying that everything he says in his music is made up and that he's just rapping to make money for his family. And I'll be honest, I believe this is where we see Von's psychopathic tendencies really shining. Not only had he seemingly killed people and occasionally attempted to deny it on Twitter, but this time he had actually made a whole song and an entire narrative music video about him personally killing FBG Duck. This is someone he had openly been embroiled in a deadly feud for around a decade with at this point. Von was literally making videos telling the story of how he was going to kill FBG Duck, all while claiming on Twitter that his lyrics were just entertainment. But apparently they weren't, because allegedly behind the scenes, Von had put $100,000 of his hard-earned rap money up as a bounty on FBG Duck's head. This is the kind of behavior that makes me feel King Von really was a serial killer, because no amount of success in the rap game was enough for him to stop killing people. Instead, his compulsion to kill, or at least to commission killings, was just too strong. He would continue to allegedly use his resources to have people killed behind the scenes, all while attempting to maintain a somewhat clean public image, despite all of the music that he was releasing celebrating murder. The video for Took Her to the O would get 1 million views in 24 hours, and at this point Von was really one of the hottest prospects in the rap game, and fans would be hungry for his next full-length release, which came on March the 6th, 2020, when he dropped his new mixtape, LeVon James, named after the famed NBA legend LeBron James, who had become a fan of Von's music along with his son. And Von would troll his ops by even purchasing a promotional billboard for the project on 63rd, as well as releasing Not From 63rd merchandise. Unfortunately for Von, however, the project itself would end up debuting precisely at number 63rd on the Billboard charts. Sometimes I see stuff like this and I just feel like it must have been God just making fun of Von for all the bad things he did in his life, because this was his biggest career achievement, but you know he must have been furious to have ended up charting at the one number that he despises. And Von would never even publicly acknowledge or tweet the chart performance of this mixtape, probably for that reason that it went 63rd. But landing at 63rd on Billboard was still a great performance for a relatively new artist with such violent and raw content. The project itself will be laced with more aggressive drill anthems, like the track Down Me with Lil Durk, where Von raps about getting doctors to bring people back to life so he can kill them again, and killing so many ops that the surviving ones don't have any friends left. There would also be the song Broke Ops, where he seemed to reference calling for the hit on Can't Get Right. Then there was the track Don't Wanna Be Me, where Von explains that his mindset growing up had to be either him or me. He'd reminisce on hearing gunshots the night he moved into O Block as a child, and his experience growing up around killers and criminals and having to fight every day. He would rap about being devastated at the loss of his right-hand man T-Roy, and explaining how losing Sherroyd, OD, and Platoon turned him into a killer in 2012, ultimately describing the gory details of the bloody couple of months of killing that he was allegedly involved in 2014. And during this time, Von also begun to post pictures of his friends from O Block posing with large wads of cash and referring to them as Get Back Gang Entertainment, further blurring the lines between the music and the real gang killing people in the streets. A week later, Von would appear on his girlfriend Asian Doll's song, Pull Up, a track with jaw-dropping lyrics where Von claimed to have killed 7 people in total at this point, saying that if he catches 3 more, he's at double digits. A day after that release, Von would tweet that girls hook up with him just so that they can say that they were with a killer. Next, he appeared on the song Get Back Mode with O-Block veteran Boss Top, where he rapped that he was stacking up bodies like Tetris. All of these murder anthems.
I swear, that is the actual thing. I know some chicks. They can't. I hung out with them twice. Some group of chicks. I swear, they said they saved up to go to Chicago. They had like pictures of Von and all that. Like they were infatuated with Chicago, and I just couldn't like. Nigga, they were like, "Oh, this is us in the hall, in the stairwell at O Block," and I'm like, "Nigga, how's that your vacation?" But those chicks, number one, they were ratchet. Number two, what turned them on was killing. It's weird. It was like so weird. So I believe definitely that was true.
Were doing numbers, and the money was rolling in for Von. He would graduate from buying his mother Gucci purses, soon flexing on Twitter that he had just bought her a brand new Mercedes and large suburban home. Von's career was going from strength to strength, and he was showing no signs of letting up. On April the 29th, 2020, he would drop his new single, Grandson for President, coming with lyrics where he says that they're trying to blame him for all the unsolved murders in his city. He'd rap that he's trying to kill all of the ops, and he would end his verse saying that he could kill you by rapping on the beat, or by shooting you in the street. And Von would promote the music video for this song on Instagram, adding a caption with 7 skulls, asking people how many they have, sparking speculation that this was him cryptically telling the world once again that he had killed 7 people to promote this song. A few days later, he appeared on the song Body Count with Mozzie and G Herbo, rapping that if you have a few bodies, everyone will know. A couple of days later, Von would tweet that he can't get a job now because he has more bodies than TK, a teenage rapper who got 55 years for murder. Von would also tweet that he's done more hits than made hit songs. And then, on May 21st, 2020, a vlog was released which showed Von going back to O Block, aka Parkway Gardens, to hand out wads of cash to his gang. And it would later emerge that Von was providing drugs and guns to his old hood and splitting the rewards with his crew, providing them with jewelry and luxury vacations in exchange for their work in the streets. Von clearly didn't care about broadcasting his activities to the world, and eventually, people began to take notice. On May the 22nd, YouTuber Trap Geek releases an iconic video on King Von titled The Soft-Spoken Assassin. This video essentially broke down Von's violent past and his rise to the top of the rap game.
One murder of a kid named Modell, allegedly, according to the internet detectives on Reddit, has King Von's name written all over it.
And Von didn't seem to initially appreciate the attention, tweeting that the videos these white people are all making about him aren't true and calling them the cops, or 12. However, a month later, Von seemed to have a change of heart, and he would actually begin to use that nickname that Trap Geek gave him as a caption on his Instagram, declaring himself to be a soft-spoken assassin. 2 days later, Von tweeted that he still has people on his list, presumably referring to a list of people he still wants to kill. And it seems that the biggest name at the very top of that list was FBG Duck. Von had been going back and forth with Duck since high school and had a years-long grudge against him. He'd had a Twitter exchange with Duck the day before he'd allegedly killed KI, who was a close friend of Duck's, an exchange where Von said that he was also looking for Duck. In fact, a couple of months after King Von had released the music video for Took Her to the O, that video where he played out his fantasy of killing Duck, Duck would go live saying that he beat up Von on the school bus back in the day.
Beat your ass on the bus on Tuka.
Duck would also tell Von that he's only famous because of Lil Durk.
You come up under Durk. When y'all get mentioned as Lil Durk homies.
But here's where things get chilling, because as Duck continues to mock Von in what seems to be a disrespectful, but at least not entirely death-threatening way, Von would pop up, following along live, demonically commenting on Duck's Instagram names of people that Get Back Gang had seemingly killed, and continuing to insult him throughout the entire live. It seemed like Von was plotting on having Duck killed for years. In November 2018, King Von would be on live, apparently in Lil Durk's Atlanta home, expressing his desire to see FBG Duck dead, saying that he would perform at his funeral whilst eating some cereal.
Yeah, cereal be busting stuff. They said King Von featuring FBG Duck.
I said that's what they want to see, huh?
Stop that, man. I'll perform at his funeral.
We now know that Von had allegedly put up a $100,000 bounty on FBG Duck's head, and funnily enough, Von tweeted throughout his career that his main goal was simply to make $100,000. And when Von was finally rich, less than a month before Duck was killed, he would tweet, "Von got the money, so Von gonna pay it to his brothers." And he would also later rap on the song Me and Doody Low that he gave out 100, so you can bet that they're coming. In July 2020, Von would also show off O-Block chains that he had purchased for his friends from the famous hip-hop jewelry store Icebox, something that we now know may well have been an incentive provided to Von's shooters to continue to catch bodies for him. And soon, we would see the tragic reality of this situation playing out on the streets of Chicago in real time. On the afternoon of August 4th, 2020, FBG Duck is shopping in the Gold Coast, a place that's been described as the Rodeo Drive of Chicago, a high-end and high-profile tourist shopping district. After being given Duck's location, 6 shooters were sent from O-Block to kill him. They were Charles Liggins, aka C-Murder, DeCarlos Offord, aka Los Munna, Marcus Smart, aka Moowop, Christopher Thomas, aka C-Thang, Kenneth Robertson, aka Kenny Mack, and Zell Munna. After being provided with his location, 2 vehicles end up 30 minutes away from O Block, pulling up to the location where Duck had been shopping. Then, at about 4:37 p.m, Duck would be confronted outside of the Dolce & Gabbana store by a group of masked individuals hopping out of 2 cars and opening fire on Duck in broad daylight. A man and a woman who were standing with Duck at the time of the shooting were both injured, but fortunately survived. And someone would even post a 12-minute video depicting the crime scene immediately after Duck's death, with Duck being seen writhing in pain on the ground in the final moments of his life. Once again, this situation just drives home the destruction these killers were so willing to inflict on the streets that they lived in and to the fellow citizens who lived there with them.
I'm in the Gold Coast right now. They shot FBG Duck, man. I don't know who shot him, man. I just ran into this, y'all. Man. They shooting in the Gold Coast of Chicago, bro. Chicago is not a safe place to be. You cannot even go downtown and enjoy your day without violence, bro. Look at this, bro. Look at this, bro. That's a Chicago rapper, man, by the name of FBG Duck.
After Duck's passing, this brazen broad daylight hit would make international news, with reporters comparing the killing to a Chicago mob boss hit from the 30s.
On August 4th, 2020, it looked like an old-time outfit attack here on Chicago's Oak Street. 2 attack cars, 4 shooters, and a hail of bullets. But the target wasn't a 1930s gangster, he was a new millennium rapper, FBG Duck.
It would appear that only 7 minutes after the killing of FBG Duck, King Von would tweet a goat emoji, seemingly congratulating himself for pulling off a hit that he had wanted to do for more than 10 years. This was quite possibly the 9th murder that King Von was responsible for, and the 11th that he had allegedly been connected to. And perhaps Von soon realised that he shouldn't be celebrating this one too hard, because the following day he would tweet denying being involved and saying that everybody blames him. Von would later tweet that him and Duck settled their differences before his death, suggesting that they were even going to make a song together. This to me seems like an obvious lie, once again showcasing the psychopathic tendencies that King Von had when it came to killing. In public, he would say anything he could to take the heat off himself and appear innocent, but behind closed doors, he had allegedly plotted, paid for, and was celebrating Duck's murder. Von and other O Block affiliates would go on to release song after song referencing the murder of Duck. The day after Duck's death, King Von and Dirk dropped their new song, All These N-Words, a track which doesn't have any specific lyrics pertaining to Duck, but in it, Von would rap about having bodies from way back, and the song's release essentially served as a victory lap for Von, Dirk, and anyone else who would have been happy about Duck's demise. OTS Doody Low would reference people getting killed while shopping on the song Me and Doody Low with King Von saying outright on the track that he gave out 100,000 and sent his boys coming, as well as saying that somebody got left shot in public before being rushed to the hospital. With these 4 lines of rapping, Von essentially broke down the entire hit, and the price he'd allegedly paid for it to happen. Von would also rap on the song Don't Miss with DQ that Duck got nailed, no hammers, as well as lyrics that seemingly refer to the funeral shooting and the killings of Modell and Doc. On the posthumously released track Shameless remix with Boss Top, Von would also rap that he's ducking no beef, and even Lil Durk would later release the song Should've Ducked, dissing FBG Duck and saying that he's smoking him. Lil Durk would take things to the next level, even joking with country music star and collaborator Morgan Wallen that he loved duck hunting. This would lead to Wallen posting duck emojis on Durk's post and later being forced to apologise after being informed that he'd actually been tricked into dissing Lil Durk's dead ops. After FBG Duck was killed, it seemed like King Von and his team truly felt invincible. And pretty much from here until the day he died, King Von didn't seem to care who knew about the killings he was allegedly responsible for. In his music and on social media, he would troll endlessly and hint towards him and his friends being real killers, seemingly oblivious or just not caring that the whole world was beginning to learn what he had done. In August, Von is on Instagram Live with DQ from O Block saying that there's no more FBG.
All that dissing or saying something or even acting like y'all with some that y'all know for sure ain't with, I'm gonna smack that on y'all. I ain't gonna play like that. See, and we know y'all ain't gangsta, y'all on the internet. We know y'all ain't gangsta, y'all ain't trying to do that. Ain't no more FB. Ain't that right, Big DQ? Ain't that right? No, you know that.
Von would also tweet that he knows the police have his phone tapped, and that all they'll find out is that he gives people money every day. Money for what though, Von? Von would also go on to tweet that 63rd was no more, and another saying you heard what they say I did, but I did worse, indicating that Von had done even more crimes that the public didn't know about. After this, we would see one famous example of King Von's crimes catching up with him in the music industry. He had actually been booked to perform at rap music festival Rolling Loud in 2020. However, the pandemic of 2020 would shut that down and see the festival unable to go ahead in person. So instead, Rolling Loud would end up hosting a digital live stream event with rappers in September of 2020. And as part of this event, King Von would be interviewed in a shocking segment where the hosts were asking him questions that had been sent in from the comments, with some bright, shy rackologist submitting a question to the unsuspecting hosts, who would read it, asking Von if he would ever collab with names of people he was rumoured to have killed. With Von even being so amused by this question bringing up his old bodies, he would even go and find his trusty shooter Muwop, putting his face on camera to show the reaction to these clueless interviewers dissing their dead enemies.
They want to know if you do a feature with Modell, P5, Malcolm. You know them? Nah. Alright, never mind. He already told us about Tuka. He said Tuka one of his favorites to work with. They want to know about the Gleesh Place video.
Oh, Gleesh Place coming soon. And I do a feature with all of them. Tell them just send them money.
Yeah, we need that bag. 100 racks. 100 racks a feet.
I don't think they got it.
My boy charging 100 racks.
Don't get me started on this. I be tickets. Y'all don't know me. Y'all don't know. I be tricking on this. Say the names who went through the features again.
He'd have to scroll up. I can't even see that.
y'all listen to the names he said want to do the feature.
We'll get a clip of it and we'll send it to you.
Alright, tell me names. Listen to the names he said want to do a feature with.
They want to know if you'd ever do a song with Young and Ace, Jada Youngin, and K. I don't know who that K artist.
No, say the other names you said.
You got to scroll up so I can read that. Can you do that for me? Hold on. It was. No, scroll up a little more. You do a feature with Modell, Tyreek, P5, or Malcolm.
Look out, folks! Look.
That's a no, right? I'm assuming that's a no.
Hey, folks, can talk to you on some police.
I don't even. Who are those? Am I supposed to know who they are?
Man, them people is dead. You bogus. No, I'm just playing. What's that? Let's go to the next question.
No, that's crazy. They had me violate like that.
Hey, you with that? Fuck 63rd. No, I'm just playing.
The day after this, Von would tweet saying, "Who wants clout? If you diss Von, he will put you in the clouds." Possibly another reference to FBG Duck's murder, whose nickname was, of course, Big Clout. A day after this, Von would take to Instagram Live, saying that he's tired of people judging him because of YouTube videos about him.
Yeah, I think y'all know me because I watch YouTube and y'all listen to what these people tell y'all stupid. Oh, yeah? Y'all listen to what the people tell y'all. Them people trying to make me bad when I'm trying to make me over them. It's cool. They got to do motherfucker. I do what they got to do. Y'all don't know me. I ain't on no super tough, no super game. That's just what's going on. That's what I am. That's what's going on. So I'm laughing, I'm smiling around here. Because I'm super gangster.
This was an epic Instagram Live where Von would go in depth on a lot of things, showcasing both sides of his personality. He would say that he's really a gangster like the videos say, but that he's also smiling about it because it makes him laugh, before also reminding fans not to play with him because he really is dangerous.
I'm super gangster. I'm like that, but I ain't on that. You see what I'm saying? I'm smiling, I'm playing with y'all. But don't play with me like that. I don't play with nobody like that for real.
King Von would tell his fans that him and his O-Block homie Louis kill their ops.
King, you like dick sucking ass on King Dave. Got to fucking with them niggas on King Dave, King. Don't trip. We ain't gonna talk about that no more. I wish Louis would rah. Not as Look at Louis Goop.
At this point, Von is seemingly hyped up and begins to ask the audience which ops he should talk about.
Man, who else to talk about this? I'm on the road today. I'll put right out of the day. Who to talk about? Drop the name on my.
Von goes on to say that people are just mad because he's tough and handsome, and because he knows that he did violent things to people who were in the comments on this live, with Von even going as far as to say to his viewers, if he did something to you or your family, comment below and he will pin it.
Hey, you hate, I know you hate on me. I know you behave. I look like this, and I'm tough like I am. Ah, yeah. That shit hurt. And I did on you. I seen what I did. Yeah. That shit hurt. I get to say y'all name on the y'all gonna get looking. I get to comment, I'm gonna pin y'all if I did something to you. Let's see how about this guy. You ain't do shit to me. My cousin maybe. Or if I did something to somebody, no, we making this street look good. Man, this street all bad on King Dave. I done lost everybody. Everybody dying, everybody in jail, everybody dead. I'm being Lloyd.
Von was really careless during this period of his life. He really comes across as if he never thought he would get caught, or as if he simply didn't realise that the whole world was listening to him. He would continue to tweet, saying that he would be ready to drop soon, and asking fans what they want him to drop, a song or an op. Then on the 4th of October, another Instagram Live of Von would surface, showing Von getting off a plane with one of the shooters accused of killing Duck, Muwop, with Von even telling fans that Muwop has all type of bodies.
This Muwop, he crazy. He got all type of bodies. No, just come on, Muwop. My mom, come on. My bodyguard. Come on, bodyguard.
On October the 9th, Von drops the song I Am What I Am with Fabio Foreign, rapping more lyrics seemingly referencing the murder of FBG Duck, aka Big Clout. The same day, Von would tweet, bragging to have done everything people say they did in the streets, and in Von's case, getting away with it. Then, on October the 14th, 2020, Von releases a song called Slide with another rapper called Yakiola. This song is a reinterpretation of FBG Duck's own hit song of the same name, Slide. But of course, Von would use his version of Slide to mock Duck. 2 days after that, he would tweet the word duck with a love heart and a picture of himself ducking his head down. Clearly, all of Von's brazen activities in the streets and online were indeed making him the target of an investigation, because also in October, Von is at the airport when he was seen on social media being searched by the police and getting angry about the fact that he was being targeted.
I can get your ID one more time.
Take a picture of my badge.
Y'all want to search me for what? I can get yours, sir. This is real quick. You took a picture of my ID, man.
You already took a picture, man.
What y'all trying to search me for?
You're blocking the path for passengers to get through, so you gotta keep moving.
Police all on my dick. What the fuck wrong with these people? They somebody search my.
Yeah, I think that was the feds kind of running in early. Those look like, if it's at the airport, I would imagine that it's feds. Obviously, he probably thought they're just kind of like picking on him because he looks like a rapper and probably smells like weed. But maybe that was just the scapegoat reason for them to start, like, get close to him without tipping him off, like, yo, we investigating you for a murder.
Good for some drugs out places. Hey, matter of fact, look, this is a picture of my ID, got my address and everything. This man, I don't know this man, you know what I'm saying? You can remember his face. King, ball head up. I don't know what the f going on. I got a plenty of time out.
Von would share a picture of the officer who searched him to Instagram, even tagging superstar hip-hop lawyer Drew Findlay, who also defended Donald Trump. But clearly, Von wasn't worried, because the same day that footage was going around, he would also tweet that he has bodies from way back, perhaps taunting those very cops who were stopping him at the airport trying to solve these murders. Around this time, King Von would also do an interview where he seemed to suggest that he was making the most of his career because he knew the cops would eventually work out what he'd done and put him away.
I'm trying to go crazy real quick, but the feds come.
What?
But not one to let some meddling cops get in the way of his booming rap career. A couple of days later, Von would drop his debut studio album, Welcome to O Block, on October the 30th, 2020, a date which coincidentally was the anniversary of T-Roy's birthday and the murder of P5. Welcome to O Block had some bold songs, where Von would hint further at the crimes he'd allegedly committed. And ironically, the very first lyric of that album would see Von admitting that the cops are onto him. By this point, Von's lyricism was the sharpest it had ever been. And he really did have a talent for using music to communicate the dark reality behind the life that he had lived. Another line on that opening track, Armed and Dangerous, really stuck out to me, where Von raps that he has inflicted tragedies, massacres, and casualties on his ops, admitting that he did a lot of things to people that he can't remember, but he knows that they remember him. He would reminisce on October 2012 when he had allegedly killed numerous people, rapping that people were dying all of October, and that it's the real Halloween. There was also the track Demon, where Von would open up about becoming a killer after the death of his friend White White, a track featuring a lyric where he claimed to have killed 7 people, saying bodies I got a few, 4 plus 3, 3 plus 2. This is a line a lot of people assumed meant 7 kills and 5 assists, or killings that he was present for. But my interpretation of this would actually be that it's Von saying that he killed 7 people personally before he became a rapper, and 5 people who were killed by his crew, either while he was allegedly present, like in the case of Lil Mark, or allegedly on his orders, like would have been the case with FBG Duck. Hell, some people would even count Dooski to King Von's body count, because after all, Von would claim that he was smoking Dooski after his death, having tweeted not long before that you can only smoke somebody if you had something to do with killing them. If you include that, that would make a full 12 bodies that King Von has been associated with over the years. Combine that with the fact that Von would end this song by boldly saying F FBG Duck, then I think it becomes pretty clear that he's trying to take responsibility for this killing. Another song on the album called The Code would see King Von rapping about splitting $100,000 with his team and being goated, a line that hits different when you know that he allegedly paid $100,000 to have Duck killed and tweeting a goat emoji immediately after the murder took place. Von would only be alive for around a week following the release of this project, but recording numerous songs and freestyles that referenced his alleged murders, like King Von's Audio Mac Bless the Booth freestyle, where he straight up rapped that he had 7 bodies. On the 2nd of November, he would tweet that people want to kill him with a yawning emoji. Clearly, Von was not scared. In fact, one of the very last things that Von did was an interview with DJ Akademiks, and a big part of this interview was a discussion of Von's beefs. Akademiks would press Von about his earlier tweets, suggesting that Von had been lying about him and FBG Duck squashing their beef, with Von denying that he was lying and suggesting that somebody else had deleted their DMs.
You know Duck didn't make up. His mom came out. You and Duck.
Gang, how you gonna tell? See that this ain't right. Gang, how y'all gonna say that?
His mom said that would never happen.
His mama was not there. I ain't never met his mama. I don't know his mama. You see what I'm saying? I'm talking to him. You see what I'm saying? Then they deleted all our DMs, so I can't show them. I don't know why they do that.
From here, a flustered King Von would try and sidestep his past beef with Duck, saying that they just went to school together.
They just make it look real crazy to y'all. These just really people we all went to school with.
That shit do look crazy to me. I kid you not.
That's how they make it.
Funny enough, I rarely wear this hoodie because I only remember that day in this hoodie. I remember wearing this hoodie to nothing else other than that day. You know, sometimes you have clothes that you remember wearing them. I only remember wearing this shit on this interview. Wow, crazy. I feel like Vaughn is watching me in this room right now. Like, yo, this is the same room. Nah, this is spooky. That's not the same hat though, right? Wait, hold on.
But like, yo, you gotta understand.
Oh shit! It's my Naughty by Nature hat. It's like deja vu. This was like November 2020, right? It's like 2.5. Funny enough, go from, this is exactly 2.5 years later. Exactly. November to April is 6 months. And from 2020 to 2000, well, just say 2021 because we're to 2020. So it's 2.5 years exactly. Minus a few days. Wow.
Yeah, like you said, they right there down the street. We went to school. It ain't that serious, you know. And then, you know, it's just that we ain't cool no more. It was, you know, but it ain't that serious. Like it's to the point where let's talk about it. It ain't. Both of us rapping, we can figure something out. We need to stop all the violence, all that shit. That shit. We got a voice, you see what I'm saying? Like, we tell Chicago, fall back, tell Chicago, fall back.
Eventually, Akademiks would ask Von how he felt when he heard about Duck's death, and Von would start slowly eating cereal, saying that he was hurt by Duck's death in an incredibly unconvincing manner.
Where you... Now the cereal shit comes back up. Yo, this is kind of like eerie. I kid you not. I swear I didn't wear this. I think... Let me see. I still got... That's a sound panel all the way back there. Because I have another studio downstairs from here. I moved that to over there. I still got the same... Well, I got two of these chairs. So this is the white one. The other one was purple, which is down there now. Or blue or whatever. I'm colorblind. Then I have my drink holder, which is right here, which is this shit. Oh, that was before I put the... You see that thing right there? That's a plexiglass booth for that I could record songs if I want to. This is some eerie shit. I'm about to go get my Bible. I need to get my Bible. Saddened by the news that he was murdered then.
Man, that shit hurt. I ain't go to sleep that night. Can't believe that.
At a certain point, Von tells Akademiks to hold on. He would then point the camera away from his face, and we would hear what sounds like Von and his friends laughing off camera. And before Von came back on camera, for a very brief moment, we got a glimpse of Von's friend from O Block, BJ, laughing in the background.
Hold on, man. Oh, let's talk about some other shit. Let's talk about some other shit.
I can't help but notice the fact that Von is eating cereal whilst discussing the killing of Duck.
Well, you need this cereal straight out of the box, no milk?
I'm a gangster.
I've said it before that I believe Von was a serial killer, but honestly, he's mentioned cereal so many times during his career, it really wouldn't surprise me if this was some kind of cryptic message that he was using to signal to fans that he saw himself as a serial killer, with Duck as his latest victim. He would strangely tweet about how much he loves his cereal after a series of alleged murders in 2012, even tweeting that eating cereal is the first thing he does after shooting someone. He would promote Dirk's cereal whilst they were both on the run from the Atlanta shooting at the Varsity, telling people on Twitter to buy the cereal whilst waving a clip of a gun, and regularly posting himself on social media eating cereal. And he would also be eating cereal when he told the world that he wanted to perform at FBG Duck's funeral.
Yeah, cereal be busting. They said King Von featuring FBG Duck. I said that's what they want to see. Stop that, man. I'll perform at his funeral.
Then, when we finally saw the actual murder of FBG Duck and Akademiks asked him about it, at that very moment, Von would decide to start eating cereal too. Maybe it's a stretch, but that day when Akademiks called Von, he probably knew he would be asked about FBG Duck, and he made sure to have that box of cereal within arm's reach so that the whole world would see him crunching on cereal at that exact moment. Sadly for Von, soon after this interview, he would end up...
Truthfully, it was kind of like random and odd that he just started eating cereal during it. It was, I mean, obviously I'm not picking nothing up during the time, but like I didn't realize, but
end up on the other side of the gun, getting shot himself and ultimately losing his life. But in a final twist of irony, it would turn out that despite being connected to so many murders in his home city, Von would seemingly end up losing his life in an altercation in another state, and as a result of a petty rap beef that had nothing to do with his violent past in the street. Throughout King Von's career, he was connected to a female rapper by the name of Asian Doll, with fans often speculating on whether their supposed relationship was genuine or simply a fake celebrity romance for clout. Apparently, Asian met King Von just after Lil Durk had signed to the same label as her, with the label arranging a celebrity basketball game where Durk would bring Von onto the court whilst Asian Doll was on the sidelines.
It's the first time I saw we was in at just a basket. It's out here. We was in New York. I seen little booty over there in the square. Look. You know, I ain't saying nothing to her. She was looking decent. She was looking good. Well, I ain't saying nothing to her. She was right there hooping. Then they ain't had no jewelry and all that, no money like that. So I'm like, she had a big ass Gucci glass, Gucci this and Gucci that. And we was playing basketball against Meek and them, me and Dirk.
Dirk had just got signed to my label, Alamo. So they're like, Asian, we having a celebrity basketball game. Do you want to do it? I'm like, hell yeah. I'll play basketball because they know I used to play basketball. So when they told me who to play, they like Meek Mill, Dirk. But so I remember Bone playing basketball. They playing. We sit on the side. He was playing so rough. I thought, why the f is he so rough? He was playing rough, y'all. Like he was rough. Like he was jumping up. He was doing all type of rough shit. He probably trying to show out the whole time for me. I ain't know. I'm looking at his ass like he crazy.
Apparently, King Von would see Asian Doll again in the studio and at a release party with Lil Durk, where they would flirt and eventually agree to go on a date.
But then I see her again at the studio. She did a feature with Dirk, and I'm steady flirting with her, trying to talk to her. She left and shit. Then I see her again. Now I'm fake drunk at the release party for Dirk album. I see her, but I ain't know she was fake talking to somebody else right there. But I'm on her. I'm off the licking and shit. So I'm grabbing her hand, trying to talk to her. Oh.
Von just kept bothering me, and then I'm just like, bro, who is this boy? He just kept bothering me, bro. Bothering me. We walking out, y'all. I don't even know this man. This man got his hand around my waist. I'm like, whoa.
Nah, I take Dirk's phone. I get in his DM. Like, talk to my brother. Ooh. And
then she talking to
Dirk. I mean, talk to my brother. Ooh, I'm taking that DM and shit.
It's him. That's hilarious.
Yeah. I'm like, no. I said no a million times. No, bitch. I said no so much I got tired of saying no. I'm like, let me go on a date with you. As soon as I said okay, this man Bun called me in seconds.
She sent the number and her saying she live in Atlanta. Now, I go to the crib. Now, Dirk out of town. He left his truck in my car. He got a track out. That raw. So I got Dirk's car today. So I go pick up. I tell her I'm going to take her out.
King Von would actually pick up Asian for their first date in Lil Durk's Jeep Trackhawk, the very same truck that they caught their attempted murder charge in Atlanta. But in the end, the date between Asian Doll and King Von was apparently a success.
You know, I ain't slow. I knew the Dirk car. I ain't thinking, oh my God, he got a car and they got 300 on it. I'm like, this Dirk car. Because I had already seen Dirk post the car. But it was so cute because I'm like, these sticking together, that's crazy. They like Dirk helping him out, letting him to the car for the weekend just so it can impress me.
So I got a little money. I only had I was I had like $600 in my shit. And a little outfit, a nice outfit my I put that on. Took some of Dirk cologne and shit. Took his car shop and go pick up, took out to eat and shit.
So he came pick me up. He kept calling, making sure I was gonna get ready. He like, get ready. After the day be cold. So he had a jacket on. He was trying to give me a jacket, but he was cold. So I just got under his jacket with him. And then it's like my chest touched his chest. Our hearts touched each other's hearts. Everything just connected when I hugged him after the first date. And then we went to the house.
They would make a connection and eventually make their relationship official. Asian Doll would even release a song called Grandson about King Von on Valentine's Day 2019, with him appearing in the music video. In a March 2019 interview with Lil Durk, a shy King Von would reveal publicly that he was indeed dating Asian Doll.
King Von, I'm saying he in a relationship too.
Shout out Asian Doll.
Okay. Yeah, he go ahead, yeah.
You heard it, man. He looking at you like, come on, man.
Von would go on to drop light-hearted tweets about his super savage friends, laughing at people who only knew him online as Asian Doll's boyfriend. But the two of them would indeed be an item, and she would need to deal with the baggage of dating a super savage. When Von got arrested for attempted murder, Asian would be in tears over her boyfriend's incarceration.
I've been on the plane for 20 hours. Everybody. I was crying. I miss my boyfriend, my husband, everything. But I'm better. He want me to be out here turned up, so I got all my crying out on the plane. Then I'm finna just turn up.
Von would even call Asian Doll from jail, joking that he would be beating her up when he gets home.
Free my jail. I miss him. Man, what?
Nah, it's clear.
Talking about who I'm talking about? You. I'm always talking about you.
Always.
Always.
People always talk about me. I was catching some shit right now. They can't talk about me, okay?
What? So you crazy. If it was good, yeah, I'm talking about you.
I don't get no fucking bad. That's the thing. I don't know good, bad.
If it's bad, I'm on there with yours. I'm being ass.
If it's bad, don't talk about nobody else.
Nah, I'm just gonna be ass first, ask questions later if it's bad. I ain't got time.
I
I already beating your ass when I said, you don't even know.
You're not beating me up. We're not gonna do that.
Eventually, Von would return home and be reunited with Asian Doll, but ironically this time it would be Asian getting Von in trouble. While out on bail for that attempted murder, King Von would end up getting into a fist fight with a man in a studio who had apparently called Asian Doll a bitch, being sent back to jail for a brief period.
Somebody called my girlfriend a bitch yesterday. Tell him what happened to my hand, bro.
Most overbeat his ass.
And despite Von winding up in jail for it, it would appear that Asian Doll would actually appreciate Von's protection, calling him her bodyguard on Twitter, with Von himself saying that he wishes she wasn't a rapper so that he could keep her home and protect her, saying that he doesn't trust her around other rappers.
But isn't it nice to have somebody in the same industry as you?
No, that ain't. I'd rather have. I wish you. I can't say I wish you wasn't a rapper, nothing like that. But it'd be better if I knew like she's at the house instead of going around all these people and I ain't around and. Damn, what's going on? Now I'm just thinking, hey, damn, what the fuck she doing? Why she answer the phone?
And that's how she be
She
feeling.
felt the same way.
I just said that.
No, I understand. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I wish my nigga was at the damn house.
No.
Also, it's been times when you didn't like a nigga and she had to work with him.
I'm not gonna say nothing because you gotta be
Like, I
you gotta be for sure with yourself,
yeah.
man. I know I'm that. So.
Von was clearly very possessive about Asian Doll, even tweeting that he would kill somebody for messing with her. With that in mind, it's no surprise that eventually it would be another rapper that would seemingly get in between Von and Asian, and that rapper would be none other than Baton Rouge gangster rap superstar NBA YoungBoy. Now, King Von had a strange relationship with YoungBoy over the years. King Von would be dissing NBA YoungBoy all the way back in February 2019.
You for YoungBoy? Why? Just damn. Hang up on your ass. But if like you cheat, go ahead and say you f***, I'm gonna hang up on your ass. No, I raised that. I just laughed. You f***ing it up? Yeah, he cool, right? So I can't speak. He ain't all that, you know. What you trying to say? Like, I'm just trying to see how you feel about him. He cool. He's straight. He's straight. He ain't better than you. He ain't better than you. Yeah, for sure. Cause you don't be doing shit. I ain't gonna do it. Cause he, hey.
In March 2019, King Von would also diss YoungBoy again on social media, saying that his music is full of lies.
YoungBoy talking about on this song, bro.
What?
He talking crazy on this man.
Oh yeah?
He ain't even like that.
Oh!
On his ass now.
On his ass.
Cap. You got cap in your raps. You got cap in your raps.
But at other times, it seemed that Von quite admired YoungBoy. He'd often play his music and even tweeted welcome home to him in August when he was freed, as well as being seen on social media copying several of YoungBoy's mannerisms and quotes.
Boy, as my grandma raised me, you hear me? You know I ain't no hoe. What up?
My grandma raised me. You know I ain't no hoe.
Perhaps King Von was looking to catch YoungBoy lacking rather than admiring him, because clearly both Lil Durk and King Von were feeling competitive with NBA YoungBoy during this period. In October 2019, Lil Durk would reply to a DJ Akademiks tweet claiming that NBA YoungBoy was the best street rapper since the Chicago wave, with Lil Durk suggesting that Von was a real street rapper who could actually compete with YoungBoy. In February 2020, Von would tweet indicating that YoungBoy was holding on to a song featuring both of them and telling him that he should release it. It would seem that Von and Asian Doll were on good terms around this time, with Von showing off a bunch of gifts and a love letter from her just a few days after Valentine's. However, by May 2020, Von would be tweeting that he was going through a rough breakup. Then the following month, tweeting that Asian Doll was acting crazy and trying to embarrass other women. But a few days later, Von would tweet seemingly indicating that he was back on good terms with Asian Doll. Then the following month, Von would tweet saying that he doesn't care what a woman does if it's not his girlfriend. A few weeks after that, in August, Von would tweet saying that he takes things too far when he gets mad, and tweeting saying that people won't believe the woman that he just made a hit with. That same day, images would surface of Von spending private time with the mother of NBA YoungBoy's child, a woman named Jania. And later, speculation swirled that Von and her may have even created a sex tape during their time together, after King Von tweeted that he could post a video that would make somebody stop claiming their own kids. And later, King Von's sister would also indicate that she had seen a video of Jania sleeping with somebody. DMs would also later circulate from somebody who was apparently with them when they met, suggesting that Von and Jania had indeed slept together, not recorded music. And Von would later rap on the song Rose Gold with PNB Rock, lyrics that seemed to suggest that somebody's baby mother was bad in bed. One of his friends, 600 Breezy, would congratulate King Von publicly for sleeping with his ops baby mother and saying rapper K, suggesting that Von and his friends were looking to see NBA YoungBoy dead. However, Jania would take to social media to deny the rumors and say that she was simply working on music with Von to make money for her son.
We walked to the table to play the little game after my studio session and I went home. That's it. Y'all trying to make stories out of nothing. I don't that man. Like I said, I don't with no nigga. I've been working. We have a song coming out. Y'all wasn't supposed to know, but it is what it is now. We have a song coming out. So when the song come out, y'all gonna with it. Just know it's hard as I'm just trying to get my money to take care of my son. Period.
On top of that, DMs would also circulate suggesting that Von had indeed only worked on music with Jania to make Asian Doll mad. However, Asian would later come out and claim that the story wasn't true about them working on a song together, suggesting that she had actually found romantic DMs between Von and the mother of YoungBoy's child.
Now I've seen it in them DMs. I've been seeing none of this not a surprise. So all that songs that did on dick.
The day after those pictures of Von's rendezvous with Jania surfaced, YoungBoy would post a picture with a caption saying that he's going to make sure that his son grows up and sleeps with King Von's daughter since he's trolling him with his baby mother. And while this was all going on, another Chicago Black Disciple rapper close to King Von, Lil Reese, was claiming to be planning to beat up NBA YoungBoy's artist Quando Rondo. Quando would reply to this, saying that Reese won't do nothing,
Man, that nigga ain't gonna do nothing to me.
A few weeks after this, King Von would seemingly threaten YoungBoy and Quando Rondo, tweeting on September the 7th, 2020, that he hopes that God has room up there for more dead people. This seemingly provoked a response from Quando Rondo's right-hand man Lil Kim the next day, who warned Von and people from Chicago about messing with Quando. And this would seemingly be followed by a response from King Von the next day, tweeting, reminding the world that he has been fighting his whole life and that he hits hard as hell. The same day that all of this is going on with Von and Jania, NBA YoungBoy would drop a snippet of an unreleased song. This song later turns out to be the track Dead Trolls, and in this song, YoungBoy claims, like Von, to be responsible for 7 murders, and rapping that he's going to catch someone from out of town who is chasing after a girl and kill them. YoungBoy would also rap that his ops are mad because they can't get a feature from him. Perhaps a hint to a potentially uncleared collaboration between the two artists being held back by YoungBoy, as one of King Von's earlier tweets seemed to suggest. Some people would later claim that this song actually predicted King Von's death, with one lyric saying that he's planning to kill someone in Atlanta after a show. But chances are, that's just a creepy coincidence. But it's no coincidence that YoungBoy dropped this snippet the very day that Von was running around with the mother of his child. A day later, Von would tweet claiming not to have a girlfriend and to simply be focusing on his career. But a few days after that, Von would tease a snippet of a new song of his own, a track titled Too Real. In this song, he would rap that he's going to expose somebody and that he's going to kill somebody because of a rap beef. Then, in September, Von would jump on Instagram Live to address his ongoing beef with NBA YoungBoy, saying that he's not in beefs in the music industry and that he doesn't want to beef in other states, but also saying that he will beef people for no reason if they don't like him.
But everybody ain't a tour nobody, you hear me? Two of the people I've been having beef with in the streets, you know what I'm saying? I want to be in tour with nobody from all in another town for no reason. Like, you got to be in tour with somebody for a reason. Just know we in tour gang, okay? You see what I'm saying? I'm the type of, I don't got to know why we in tour or nothing. You only got to tell me why you don't like me. Don't even tell me why you don't like me. I don't even care. Just let me know you don't like me. You know what I'm saying? Let me know how you don't like me. If that's what it is. Let me know. I'm like, all right, let me know. But I'm so gangster that I don't need a reason. It don't got to be no reason. We can be into it. Like, I don't care. It don't got to be a reason, for real. I'm into it, people. It don't got to be no reason. I don't know why. I don't care why. But it can be that. You know what I'm saying? Well, I like to know why we into it. I like to. I need to. Because I ain't no goofy. Like, what the and then I play hard. I ain't trying to lose. I can't lose to nobody. Lose to who? Who knows? Who I'ma lose to? Tell him, you've been knowing me, Lloyd. So don't I go hard everything I do? Tell him, how you get a chain in your neck, Lloyd?
Clearly, Von was still wanting to prod YoungBoy, and despite tweeting that he still isn't doing relationships, in September, Von and his sister were seen in the club with YoungBoy's baby mama once again.
2 days ago, Jania was spotted in the club with King Von's sister, and King Von was also there as well. You couldn't see them together, but you know they were together if you know.
With all of this going on, Asian Doll would be feeling the heat. At the start of October, Asian Doll would go on Instagram Live to address the situation with YoungBoy and Von, denying that Von embarrassed her and saying that if she's single, then it's got nothing to do with her.
Nobody embarrassed me, gang. Y'all need to get off my dick with that. Like, nobody embarrassed me. Nobody. There's nothing nobody did to embarrass me. I was not embarrassed. Like, damn, y'all hoes mad about a tweet. Like, y'all, like, dude don't even know you clowns. The y'all hoes get left for me. Smack the shit out of one you me. You crazy. I don't get no. I'm a real bitch at the end of the day. Like I said, you would never see me sweat. You would never see me go outside behind nobody. I don't give a who you is, friend, anybody. Mind your business. When I'm single, like, they don't have nothing to do with me. I'm not stressing that shit. I'm not tweeting about nothing. They don't have to do with me, gang. Nothing. When somebody's single, so what? What they do? I don't get no. That's what y'all problem.
Von later went live on October the 11th, 2020 with Asian Doll, apparently their first live together since their breakup, with them appearing to be on fairly good terms. Also in October, King Von will begin tweeting to promote a new song called Mine Too, a song essentially dissing NBA YoungBoy and saying that he's not going to beef about a girl because YoungBoy's baby mama Jania is his too. He'd also have a lyric saying that he has beef in NOLA, or Louisiana, where YoungBoy is from, and saying that YoungBoy is rapping like a gangster, but now he's got to show Von whether or not he really is a gangster. After this snippet released, Von would tweet saying once somebody has slept with a girl, he doesn't want her anymore, with this possibly being a hint towards Asian Doll moving on to NBA YoungBoy, with it actually being rumoured that Asian had met up with YoungBoy at some point during this time, with later DMs from people in NBA YoungBoy's camp suggesting that Asian Doll had indeed hooked up with YoungBoy before King Von passed away, and Asian Doll would seemingly admit to hooking up with YoungBoy twice on her song No Exposing. Apparently YoungBoy even had access to Asian Doll's phone and Instagram account during the time they had spent together, as he had reportedly messaged his producer through Asian Doll's Instagram account. And then, only days before King Von would end up losing his life, on November the 4th, 2020, YoungBoy posted a snippet of a song that he made with Asian Doll, a song with the ominous title Meet the Reaper. Von would be seen listening to the snippet of this YoungBoy and Asian Doll song, later tweeting that the song is trash, followed by yet another tweet alluding to there being a sex tape between him and NBA YoungBoy's baby mother. Von would then say that him and Jania's song is way better than Asian Doll and NBA YoungBoy's song, and saying that it has a better cover art, another hint that he might have had compromising pictures of YoungBoy's baby mother. Then Von would backtrack, saying that he's just playing, and that if Asian Doll is happy, he's happy. But the song still sounds trash. Then rehashing the lyric from his song Mine Too, once again indicating the Asian doll engineer, his girl too. The day before he was killed, King Von was incredibly active on Twitter. He would diss NBA YoungBoy, tweeting that rappers are pussy and that he's not one of them. He would warn people to approach him with caution, and he would say that his ops are acting gangster, but that's not what they're really like. Tweeting that he's not hurt, just retaliating to the disrespect he's received with no feelings involved, suggesting that what was going on was just entertainment, with Von eventually saying in another deleted tweet that he's going to lead by example because he's older than YoungBoy, and saying that he's quitting the beef because many wars have started over a woman and that he's not beefing YoungBoy. He would say that they're sharing the same women and that doesn't matter, and then in King Von's last recorded interview before his death with DJ Akademiks, he would touch upon his beef with NBA YoungBoy since coming into the industry. Von would deny that this was a real beef, saying that they have the same girls and the internet has just blown it out of proportion.
You know what people told me? People told me you and YoungBoy was beefing or something like that. You said something about, yo, what happened? Von, what's going on with you, man?
They be saying that a lot. It's like we got the same interests in hoes, and then you know how the internet try to make it.
Don't tell me I got problems over girls.
No, it's the internet, gang. It's the you know, they try to make it like that because it's the internet. You see what I'm saying? And then you know how females will try to make it like that because they females, and they try to make it like one hard. They try to. It be just all type of shit. But it ain't nothing too serious, nothing you should worry about.
Unfortunately for Von, things would be very serious indeed, and the very night of that final interview, King Von himself would escalate things and get more than he bargained for, and little did he know that this feud over women would end up being the beef that would take his life. Barely a week after the release of his debut album, Welcome to O Block, King Von's story would come to an abrupt end. The week before his death, King Von would be reflecting on Instagram just how far he'd come, and reminding himself to enjoy these times, because he knew there would be hard times coming.
Going through this, just losing so many people, gang. I lost so many people, man, going through this. Man, shit crazy. But now look where we at right now, you see what I'm saying? Like times like this, you gotta take it in. I just told my homie, y'all gotta take this in, you see what I'm saying? Look for them. I'm here with day one, this shit. And we in this winning, man. And we living on King Day, and we ain't dead, and we ain't in jail. And we ain't broke, and we ain't, you know, like you gonna be down again, like I'm up right now. It's gonna be times I'm gonna go through some more, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna think back to this time, I could always reflect on this time, like, everything was going good in my life, everything was going, that time, everything going good right now, like right now, everything going good, I ain't got no complaints, I ain't mad about nothing. I know I done lost I don't understand a lot of shit, but I ain't even mad about it.
Sadly, the good times would end suddenly, and Von would end up losing his life at the very height of his career. His album, Welcome to O Block, had debuted at the unlucky number 13 on the Billboard charts, ironically, just one position above NBA YoungBoy's album, Top, that had already spent 8 weeks on the chart after going number 1. Then, just after midnight on the 5th of October 2020, Von would tweet his location for the evening. He was playing a show at Atlanta club Opium. Von would go live on Instagram on the way to the club, seemingly in good spirits and rapping along to his own music. He would do a live pre-show with the name of the club pinned, and he would be seen on Instagram, posted up, smoking hookah with his entourage of O Block natives. He would go on to play that concert at Opium, where he would be seen jamming out on stage at the club, surrounded by his team and shouting out somebody in the crowd for wearing Not From 63rd merch, as well as dissing girls who were acting stuck up at the front of the show.
Man, I see everybody in this job act like y'all don't see a but I see a motherfucker in this bitch, gang. I see you got that 63rd shirt back there, my This is love, I gotta get back game. Oh, no, this got to get back game. I love it, I love you, gang. But you know, it's all love in this beat up shit. I done dropped that on that Welcome to O Block, that going crazy. I want to thank everybody, you know, what's going on. Stretch gang, there's a lot of bad hoes there. I've been walking through them. Damn, it's decent shit in this. You know, we trying to party and have fun in this bitch, I ain't gonna lie. We got the little bougie, they got the bougie right here. They right here. Y'all better stop that, man. So we finna tee up. I got DJ Bands in this.
Just after 1 AM, King Von would retweet a Young and Ace lyric with a caption saying that his crew are going to catch somebody, and he sees them as food. Because while King Von is performing at Opium, Quando Rondo and his entourage are fresh off recording a new music video for the song The Drop, being seen on social media showing off an array of high-powered weapons that they're holding onto. After finishing his show, King Von would be seen leaving Opium in an SUV, and interestingly, that truck can be heard playing the NBA YoungBoy song My Window as it was driving away.
There'll be a lot of cars behind him. Kima! Stop playing!
Apparently Von would confuse his team by choosing not to go back to his Airbnb as his security crew initially thought. Instead, Von would take a last-minute and unexplained detour to the Monaco hookah lounge where Quando Rondo was, with King Von's manager, 100K Track, later telling DJ Vlad that his team was blindsided by the change in plan.
He went over there to the after party, and then his driver and his homeboy let us know that we was redirected. We think we're going to go to Airbnb or the hotel.
Around 3:20 on November the 6th, King Von would find himself outside the Monaco hookah lounge in Atlanta. Perhaps he knew Quando Rondo would be there, or perhaps it was just a coincidence. All we know is that while there, Von approached Quando Rondo and began assaulting him with a flurry of punches, with Quando's close friend Lil Tim opening fire and striking King Von 4 times. Security footage of the fight and subsequent shooting would circulate online after the incident. What happened that night is that Von walked up to Quando Rondo and sucker punched him outside the club and proceeding to beat him up in front of a huge crowd. But after throwing a few punches, Quando's friend Lil Tim would jump out of a car and shoot King Von 4 times. Von's friends from O Block, Slutty and Louie would attempt to shoot Lil Tim, leaving him wounded but not dead. After shooting Lil Tim to the ground, they would attempt to execute him on the floor, but the gun would jam. Whilst this is going on, a wounded King Von continues to wrestle with Quando Rondo on the floor. At this point, Von's other friend Muwop would approach, punching Quando Rondo to the ground and separating him from Von. Meanwhile, after failing to execute Lil Tim, Slutty and Louie would attempt to flee the scene, without realizing that they were running directly towards undercover police officers who would open fire, believing that their lives were in danger too. The police would kill Slutty and leave Louie in critical condition. Muwop and other O Block members would drag King Von's limp body to a waiting car and rush him to the hospital. But what's even more crazy is that Quando Rondo would take Lil Tim to the very same hospital that King Von and his team were at, with Quando Rondo even going live, showing himself trying to get Tim into the hospital and get assistance. PHF Bezu would later post saying that he'd seen Quando at the hospital, suggesting that they would have shot him if he didn't start recording. But ultimately, King Von would be rushed into emergency surgery in critical condition after the shooting. He would ultimately die in hospital, with media all around the world waking up to the news and reporting on his death.
Yeah, Rick and Sean, according to GBI, rapper King Von and his group were at Opium nightclub before making their way here to Monaco Hookah Lounge, then to the parking lot where chaos ensued. Believe it or not, this all playing out right in front of 2 Atlanta police officers.
One of them was actually inside his patrol car, or next to his patrol car with his blue lights on.
APD responding, attempting to stop the shooting, but it was too late.
He hit like one officer that did respond. He tried to protect himself and stop what was going on.
The investigation on this shootout will continue. No officers were injured during this incident. According to GBI, this is the 82nd officer-involved shooting that they've been requested to investigate in 2020.
After King Von died, some of the friends of people Von was rumored to have killed would post on social media. Billionaire Black would post a picture of Modell McCambry, and the person who was shot with Modell the night he was killed posted a picture of FBG Duck, saying that Duck would be happy greeting Von in the afterlife. P5, aka Crack's cousin, would post on Facebook saying that he had been praying for the day that King Von will be killed, whilst other friends of Crack would post tributes now that their friend's killer was no longer alive. Apparently, Crack's little brother would even post saying that they caught 2 of the 3 people who were present when Crack was killed, and suggesting that they were disappointed not to be the ones who killed Von. Outside of Chicago, affiliates of NBA YoungBoy like Big B would mock King Von in an Instagram story, saying that it was funny that he was the one who started the beef and dissing NBA YoungBoy, and now he was the one dead.
The joke's on you, this now you're getting wrapped down. Yeah. Yeah.
Meanwhile, people on Von's side would express their heartbreak at losing their main man. Asian Doll claimed to want to die when the news came out, and Lil Durk would mourn the loss of his twin. Even rap's #1 superstar Drake would post a tribute to Von after he passed. NBA YoungBoy's biggest enemy, Fredo Bang, would also mourn the loss of Von too. 12 days after his final tweet, somebody would take control of King Von's Twitter account, releasing a statement thanking everybody who supported Von whilst he was alive. There would be a media frenzy around King Von's death. Funeral homes were also refusing to take King Von's body due to fears of violence at the ceremony. And when the family finally found a place that was willing to host the funeral for Chicago's most famous killer, they were forced to have it at 1 day's notice. Eventually, Von would get the peaceful burial his family had hoped for, with Von being laid to rest in Chicago on November 14th, 2020, with pictures of Von's funeral program and casket being posted on social media. But being such a divisive figure in Chicago gang politics, Von's enemies continue to disrespect his gravesite to this very day. Naturally, Von's death sparked a strong response from many of his supporters. 600 Breezy claimed to be headed to NBA YoungBoy's hood at 150 miles an hour with the steppers. BJ, who was also shot the night that King Von was killed, would also post saying that their ops are cursed now that O Block is after them. Meanwhile, NBA YoungBoy affiliate Michi replied and said that people only really slide in silence.
Right there all day, nigga. Going on hell, scary, nigga. Doing all that capping, getting on that shit, man. Real don't speak. Hey, if you go do something, man, do something. You don't come to no city and annihilate you in the city, man. You was supposed to slab out that, man.
Von was eventually memorialized in his native O Block with a painting that became a tourist spot. This mural became a pilgrimage for both die-hard fans who wanted to show their love and death-defying ops who wanted to show that they're not scared to come to O Block, with longtime rival FBG Cash posting up at the mural with a disrespectful caption towards Von, with Cash himself ending up being killed only months later. Once a few months passed from Von's death, his self-proclaimed twin Lil Durk would dedicate his next album The Voice to King Von, releasing it on December 24th, 2020 with a front cover that depicted Durk and Von together. Eventually, Quando Rondo would break his silence about his involvement in the incident that claimed King Von's life. On the 20th of November 2020, Quando Rondo releases the song End of Story, a song that's title is a disrespectful play on Von's most popular song, Crazy Story. And in the song, Quando touches on the incident that ended up taking King Von's life, expressing frustration about being judged and saying that other people's friends wouldn't have defended him like Lil Tim did, as well as essentially dissing King Von and his friends, saying, "Blood on your brother on the ground, go pick your mans up," as well as rapping that him and Tim are claiming self-defense and that Von should have never put his hands on Quando. Quando. He would also claim that this situation led to a $1 million bounty being put on his head. And following the release of this song, he would also elaborate further on the events that unfolded that night in an extended interview with Angela Yee, speaking on the situation, saying that the night that Von was killed, he thought he was just letting a group of random people walk past before being suddenly sucker punched by Von.
Like, I'm thinking it's a regular individual. Next thing you know, a nigga hit me.
Quando would say that the entire incident...
It was the out-of-body experience. Shout out to my boy Quando. Very interesting but sad situation. I'm gonna kind of lean towards the serial killer angle, man. I think Von was enjoying it. I think, it's one thing about killing out of survival or defending yourself versus looking for some of these things, bragging over it and being obsessed with it and going out your way not to avoid it but look for it. So it is what it is. Yo, we're gonna kind of move on a bit. Y'all tell me what y'all want to talk about next. I feel like we've given that a good amount of time, but I think it's time for us to move on. All right? Chat, we're probably going to have about 30 more minutes on YouTube and all, so get ready somehow to get over by Rumble because we're about 4 hours in. But before we get there, we could talk about the Charleston White topic. We could talk about Joe Budden violating Rory and them niggas. There's a few other things. Let me see what else is on my topic list because we're only about like 4 topics in. Let me see. All right. Drake. We could talk about Drake dissing Kendrick Lamar.